My my friends, Dr. McCoy and I have to do this. The rest of you do not. Wow, what a great day it's been, and what a great bunch of friends that are here for us. Let me tell you something, all you wonderful people. I would steal the Enterprise from space dock and go to the Genesis planet for you anytime, all of you.
Aw.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you all here tonight. I'm just emotional. What can I tell you? I just had a fantastic day with some friends, and now I get to spend a fantastic night with some friends. So many wonderful friends, especially the most wonderful first officer in the fleet. Everyone, RM Commander RAQUEL Briggs.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. It's so good to see you, and I'm so happy that you had a great time at the con today with all of your friends, and you made such great memories today. And it's wonderful to be high on that kind of love and camaraderie. And I'm so happy that you had that experience today. You must be exhausted. And hail to this beautiful, amazing chat. I love this community. I missed you all week.
I missed you all too. You were all just fantastic last week, and I just can't wait. Can't wait to get to do this tonight with you. I couldn't wait to be here. I was with some fantastic friends all day, and then just to finish off with this, just is incredible. And the con, it was just a way, excuse for us to be able to get together like it always is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an excuse. Well, I tell you what, everyone. I tell you, we will say some hellos to all of our wonderful friends here.
Yay!
And we will start. I'm trying to get all the names because it's getting crazy out there with all these different wonderful friends showing up to keep track of you all, and which is a wonderful problem to have.
Sure is.
But let's see here. Let's give it a shot anyway, right? The great Steve Mitchum is here. Yo, bro.
Hey, Maddie's daddy. Kiss
Yo,
Maddie
brother.
for me.
Good to see you, man. Chris Persia, the master of all that is wondrous wrench, buddy.
Mwah, mwah,
Always a
mwah.
pleasure,
Love
man.
you. So happy you're here.
Speaking of great wrenches, the Felicianos, as in Raymond and Sandra.
Yay! They're romantic. They're brilliant nerds and geeks, and they are ours. We love them. Welcome, Felicianos.
Indeed. And our great pal, the great Mark D with a C. Bro.
Yay!
Dude, we always appreciate you, buddy. And yeah, I let the cat out of the bag. I told Raquel because I couldn't keep that secret from her. I couldn't keep the secret of that book from her. I love hearing her happy. And I don't know how I'm going to get it to her, but she's going to get it.
I did yell in his ear. You guys know, like when I get super excited, I couldn't control myself. I was pretty freaked out. I was like, oh my God. And he probably lifted his headphones off of his head and was like, oh, this lady's crazy.
I didn't even notice. I love it.
I love you.
Oh my goodness. It was like, that's what I did it for. That's why I told you I couldn't resist. I just couldn't wait. I wanted you to know about it, even though it was,
so beautiful.
Because see, I couldn't be there for you when you open it up and be surprised. So I'm
so excited.
Oh,
I'm going to read it cover to cover.
Snortopoopus cuber is a good bear.
Snortopoopus! Cuber.
Come here. Yes, easy doing, Terry. I can't keep a secret, man. Your Muslim uncle. Good to see you, buddy. No, I was not with Michael. They're a little bit farther north from me. They went to Michael French, my great friend Michael French, and his good buddy Tim Hayes, and a bunch of the other retro blasters. They went to Joe Lanta today. It's a 2-day con up there in Atlanta with a GI Joe convention up there. They're big into the GI Joes and stuff. So I wish if I were up there, I'd have been with those boys. That's for sure. I love those guys. So yeah, I hope they had as good a time today as I had. So no, they were the different one than me, bud. Bruce Lombardo, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, Bruce.
Nice to see you.
Hello, Bruce. Hello. All right, let's see here. He'll get that one if he's a Monty Python fan. Let's see here. The great Lord Thoth.
LT, long live the Legion. It's so good to see you, fine sir.
Long live the Legion and Avon lives, brother. Good to see you, man. The lovely Arwen Avalon. It is so great to see you, my dear.
Arwen, It is so good to see you. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments in the chat. You just, you have become just such a star in this community, and just you've made so many friends here, and I enjoy your company immensely. So welcome, and it's so great to see you again.
We're so happy to have you here, Arwen, as we are also the lovely Janet from another planet.
Yay! Interplanet Janet, she's a galaxy girl.
I love that.
Sorry, bad
I
singing
love
from
that.
Schoolhouse Rock.
It was lovely singing.
That's the way it actually sounds. It sounds bad. I know.
I love it. Stephen Thompson. Hello, sir.
Yay!
Thank you for being here. The great phantom outsider. It just seems like it should be dramatic when you say that. It just works that way.
Yeah. It's such a cool name.
It is.
Yeah.
Phantom outsider, like that.
Yes.
Wolfie 762. Hello there. My bud, D-Bud Martin. What's up, buddy?
So good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, brother. J-Man was here earlier. I think if you're still there, J-Man, my brother. Always great to see you, buddy. Yeah. My old bud, Darth Haster. Hey, man.
Hey, good to see you. Thank you for stopping in.
Cal L. I always forget the number. 48 something. I forget the number. I'm sorry. 48, 69. Hi.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
I like the handle, Cal L. 40. I'm sorry about the number, dude. I forgot to write the number part down. I'm an idiot. And they call him Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete! Love you, Scuba Pete.
Oh, my goodness. Liger fan.
Yeah. Gonna steal your tots, Liger fan. One day I'm gonna steal your tots.
Absolutely. JT Kirk, buddy. All right. Yay. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Rod Thunderheart.
Rod Thunderheart. So good to see you, my friend.
Ironcaster, what's up, buddy? Global Geek Gang member extraordinaire. Crazy Pineapple. Hello. Welcome.
Pina colada. Ding, ding, ding.
I'm getting lost stuck in the rain. Apollomies minion, howdy, dear.
And Pupper.
And the Pupper. I hope you and the Pupper are doing well and being safe. Both hands on the wheel, dear. It is so great to see you. Yep. Let's see you. Oh, the great Pat S., my brother.
Hey, nice to see you, Pat.
And we will acknowledge anyone else who happens to pop in. I think we got everyone. If we missed anyone, just shout out.
Where the heck is Eric?
Don't be shy. Eric, I don't know. He'll make it. We'll see him at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he better get his buns in here.
Yeah, where are you, Eric?
Where are you? You're late, Eric. You're going to get detention.
Yes. Oh, my God. We love Eric, though. I hope we get to see him. I hope he pops in. Yeah. Let's see here, everyone. A little bit of show notes before we get started. Let's see. Monday night, I don't know what I'm doing. It'll be comic, though. It'll be comics, I assure you. And two show notes for the far-flung future. First, I will say, of course, thanks to everyone who joined us for the Global Geek thing the other day. It was fantastic. Yeah. And then Flash and I, that night before that, had a wonderful time hanging out with you all, doing our follow-up to our top favorite all-time movies. And Monday before that, the wonderful Purple Valkyrie for hanging out with me. Some great shows. Had a lot of fun. This week coming up, of course, Monday night, it'll be comics, something to do with comics, the Monday night Mark C. Comics show. And then, but I'm not sure exactly what. Tuesday night, I will be, as usual, 7 p.m. Central. I'll be with the Comic Book Roundtable. Loki doesn't like when I give him the credit for it, but and our special guest that night on Loki's Comic Book Roundtable on Fat Steven Seagal's channel, our good buddy Fat Steven, is Chuck Dixon, famous comic book writer Chuck Dixon, who is one of the well-known comics, creator of Bane, co-creator of Bane, that is, and he'll be hanging out with us. He's very popular with this community, and he's written some of my favorite Batman and Nightwing stories, and so that will be cool. Got a comic book writer with us, yeah, nice dude. And let's see here, July the 12th, 5 p.m. Central, Iconicon, which is, of course, with my wonderful retro blasting friends in Iconicon, are going to be putting on a virtual convention. And I will be running one of the panels and be sitting on several. The one that will be on my channel that I'll be running will be a topic that I picked. And because they're all about the 80s, my wonderful retro blasting friends, but they mostly stay with stuff like comics and cartoon, not comics, cartoons, toys, and other pop culture things, but they don't do a lot with comics. But that's where I come in, and I've decided we will do a show about comic shops of the 80s.
Oh,
and
cool.
Michael will sit with me, and also Infinity Equation podcast, Alex Sanchez. They will both join me, and we will talk about the comics biz and the comics industry of the 80s. I'm getting with them with several ideas on that. As you can see, the top corner, the name of my comic shop from the 80s. The one I worked in a few, but the one I owned was Mega City Comics.
That's such a good name.
Well, it's a Judge Dredd thing. I'm a big Judge Dredd fan. So,
That's such a good name.
Or I made up. You could call it a made-up word. When I had on my sign, the letters were kind of close together, the A and the C, so it was Megacity Comics. But what is Megacity? I don't know, but it's way up. It's me. But yes, that was, of course, my shop, and it'll be fun. And then, of course, I'll be sitting on a couple of other panels. Like I said, we're gonna get the schedule out there soon. I think they're gonna drop the actual schedule to the public tomorrow. And that will be cool. I know I'll be on a James Bond films of the 80s panel. It's all about 80s kind of thing. I'll be on a British science fiction panel of the 80s, I believe. And I think for some reason, Michael put me on. Michael, if you're out there, I'm laughing at this, but I think it's hilarious. But I will be on a Return of the Jedi panel. Is that right? Whoa. I'm just kidding. Because dude, I'm a lot nicer to Return of the Jedi than I used to be. But I'm critical of it. But yeah. Did you at least have one next to the shop's name? Clobby, did you at least have a one? No, and Mega City 1 is the name of the fictional city that Judge Dredd lives in. No, I figured if I ever started another one, I would do that.
Look at Scuba Pete.
Hey, who are you? Who do you think you are, Scuba Pete? Eric or something?
If you're at home and you're listening to this as a podcast and you're not participating in the live chat or watching it as a show, Scuba Pete just said, "Wait, Clobby owned a comic shop? How did I not know this?" Wink.
Hey, why don't you guys pick on D. Bud Martin? He owned one too. And they pick on Gary though.
Right, Arwen? She's like, poor Clobby.
Thank you, Arwen. I'm glad somebody's nice to me. I love you, Arwen. But yes, and I love Eric, wherever you are, buddy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, man, I was just seeing some really stupid crap Marvel is doing to the Fantastic Four lately with the way they so-called celebrate the Fantastic Four 60th anniversary. It's a disgrace, Marvel, you filthy. I wouldn't even name the comic. Just screw them. Two of their comics. Man, they are garbage. So it's up to me. That's right. The Fantastic Four belongs to me, folks. I own it. And you can't have it. No, I'm just kidding. It is up to Clobberin times to celebrate the wonderful first family of Marvel Comics. The world's greatest comic magazine, as it was always hyped on its cover after issue 13, 14, whatever it was. Anyway.
Good one.
Yes. August 1st, 1961, 60 years ago to that date. Anyway, Fantastic Four #1 was released. And on Sunday, August 1st, 2021, I will assemble my Global Geek Gang, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on that Sunday, to celebrate it properly because I love the Fantastic Four. I got a few things planned, and basically we're just going to express love because y'all know how much I love the Legion of Superheroes as I go on about her so much. The only comic book group I love more is my beloved Fantastic Four, my Imaginauts, as they are called, the Imaginauts of the imagination, these wonderful heroes. You'll find out. So
hey, Jesus is my king just walks through the door.
Jesus is my king. Hey, I didn't see him. Oh, there we go. There he is. Hey, Jesus.
Okay, I wasn't seeing Mark at first. I think StreamYards must be glitching again.
Who did you miss?
Oh, I didn't see Mark D with a C at first.
Oh, okay.
Now I can see him, but when you were first conversing with him, when we first got in the room, I couldn't see him. Okay,
sometimes we can't see everybody.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, gotcha. Well, Jesus is my king. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
What is my computer doing to me? I don't need updates right now. Don't you dare.
That's a hard no.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Watch it. If it shuts off, you'll know why.
Okay. Well, I'll be back here in like 5 seconds.
Chris Persia, I can't argue with that, brother. I can't argue with Marvel deceased. or ceased to exist December 31st, 2009. Whatever Disney makes. Well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Buddy. You're right. That's the same year that Star Trek deceased. Anyway, well, I tell you what, folks. Time for some trekking. What do you think about that? I've been to spend half an hour messing around.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We'll try to go quicker than we did last week, but no promises, but we'll try.
Before we do that though,
Yes,
Buffman,
Mhm.
may I please just do a last call for the draw? So I only have 4 people in the draw, and that's okay, no pressure. The reason why I'm doing it this way and I'm not just drawing people's names is because some of you want to maintain your anonymity and some of you don't have the time to, you know, get me to send things to a post office box and things or a post office for you. So I understand if you don't want to participate. However, I am going to do the draw. So what I'm going to do, my husband is filming on his channel tonight, so it will just be me drawing, and I'm going to do it off camera. I have all of the names torn up on little pieces of paper. I'm going to do a last call right now. So in the hat of names, I have Sandra Feliciano, Raymond Feliciano, Eric K, and my beloved Arctic Bear. If anyone else would like their name in this draw, speak now or forever hold your peace. This is just me drawing for a little thank you gift to this wonderful community just for supporting us. You don't have to be a member. You don't owe me anything. You don't have to subscribe or do anything like that. This isn't about incentivizing the channel. This is literally just me saying thank you for supporting us. So I'm going to go ahead and add JT Kirk. Does anybody else want to get in on that? JT Kirk. I'm just going to write your name and tear a tab and fold you up. Anybody else? Oh, Scuba Pete. Let's get Scuba Pete. And anybody else, boss?
Let's see. What do we got? Anybody? Let's see.
Phantom Outsider and Janet.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I just wanted to make sure we got this done. Phantom Outsider and Janet. And I'm just going to put Planet Janet. Thank goodness that the book doesn't have very much coverage on Star Trek 3, so we're going to just burn through this. Okay.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter.
Ptolemy's Minion and Stephen Thompson. Ptolemy's Minion.
There you go.
And Stephen Thompson. Okay, and that should be it. We're good?
Yeah. So you're gonna do the drawing now, or you're just gonna take the names and do it later? Will you do it now? You can do it.
Let's just do it now. Mark
Go for
D. Anybody else? That's it.
Okay.
Arwen. No, my beautiful, awesome
Arwen.
wrench, Arwen. Okay. All right. Let's tear these names up and get them in the hat. Hold on, guys and gals. You sexy gals. All right. Okay, and then Mark D with the C and Arwen. Let's get you guys torn up. All right. So here we go. I'm just gonna.
Hey there, James. James Caserta. Hey.
Do. A little stir. Do. And here we go. You ready?
Go for it.
I am opening a paper. Oh my God, it's Eric K. And I knew that he was going to get drawn. I felt it. I just felt it. I cannot believe how weird that is. I freaking knew it. Oh, and he's not even here.
Well, I tell you what, you have to be here to win. Just kidding. Everyone just tell him I was kidding.
Okay, I'm going to draw one more.
Oh, my goodness.
JT Kirk.
JT Kirk.
Okay, so JT Kirk and Eric, you have a little present coming from yours truly. I would like you to be safe, though. I will be using a post office box, and you may go ahead and use a post office box as well. I can have it delivered to your post office or to a PO box or wherever you would like. But would you please communicate that through my captain? And we will. I will get those gifts sent off to you. I just want you to know how much I care about all of you, and I just wanted a little piece of our show in your home. And I want everyone to know that I'm actually going to be doing this through each cast. So when this will be fulfilled through the TOS, and so this will cover TOS and TAS. And when we get to TNG, we're going to do another draw, and we'll send another gift at that time. So thank you to everybody who participated. And if you didn't win this time, I hope I get you next time.
Anti-derivative Jill. Hey there, hey there.
Yeah, hey, Jill.
Wait a minute. I want Eric, I want actually your home address so I can mail you a bomb.
He's kidding. That's a joke.
A real, well, not a bomb. I'm talking about like a bad movie.
Yes, that's so. YouTube algorithms don't go crazy.
Oh
there.
my yes. Oh wow, is it that bad? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right.
Oh lordy.
It's just phew.
Well, if he pops in, we'll tell him the good news.
Yeah.
And I hope he's all right. I hope he's doing okay. We love Eric K. He's the man.
We do love Eric K. And I knew that I was going to pull his name. I had his name here, and I thought, imagine if the Felicianos don't show up or Snorta Poopus doesn't show up, and I draw their name. Whew. Anyway, we got two of them now.
Well, I'll tell you what. We don't need a lot of Oh, there you go. Steve Mitchum had to get a last shot in the TMP.
Steve says a bomb like Star Trek TMP. You know, Steve is a really sweet guy, has a nice recipe. You should see his gorgeous daughter. Very kind man, but suspect taste in films. I love you, Steve.
Yep. I guess Steve is just I'm just gonna have to take you behind the woodshed, dude. Next time I see you, that's it. It's on, buddy.
I'm gonna kick you in the shin at CLOBBERIN.
You and me, pal. Mono e mono.
Meanwhile, Steve Mitchum is like a gigantic man who looks like he could bench press like a Yugo. He's like a humongous guy. And here I am threatening to kick him in the shin. That would be hysterical.
He is a master of Kung Fu and every other martial arts too. So
we can't take him out behind the shed or we're going to get our butts kicked, Clubby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus is my king. You're a Steve. So we do have three Steves here.
Go. These are the Steves I know. These are the Steves I know. Again, another bad song that's supposed to sound bad, and I feel so bad about it. But it's a Canadian joke, and yeah, I love that you guys love the Canadian jokes. So these are the Steves I know.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know what? It's going to sound weird. I think Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, is, for me, the best Star Trek movie. I think Star Trek the motion picture is one that is so ingrained in my heart that I love it as much. But it's going to sound weird to you, but this movie we're going to be talking about now, maybe somehow in some ways more in my heart than any of them.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm so glad that you said that.
So much.
I'm glad you said that.
I love Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, #1. So why don't we get started on it?
Yeah, well, in the book that we've been reading from, we've been using it as a launching off point. We're reading from Star Trek, Where No One Has Gone Before, A History in Pictures, and the text is written by J.M. Dillard, and it has an introduction from William Shatner. And I just really like this book because it's conducive to podcasting insofar as because it is a book of pictures, whomever is writing it, all picture books in this case, would have to have a very condensed version of the information. So that's why we've chosen it. And the writing is actually quite good. And I highly recommend this book. However, really sparse on Star Trek 3 as far as this coverage goes. However, if you have this book, please turn to page 78. I believe this is the 1994 version of it. There is a 1996 version of it as well. So here we go. Nimoy recalls, it wasn't until they were getting ready to make Star Trek III that the studio called and asked if I wanted to be involved. I said I was very interested in being involved, to say the least. I wanted to direct the picture as well as act in it. Harve Bennett soon set to work on the screenplay for Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. He swears that he had no plan in bringing Spock back when he helped with the Wrath of Khan script. I had to make a story out of the following givens, he remembers. One, there's a casket on a planet that has been created by a reformation of life forces, and life has been created from death. Two, there are always possibilities, said the ST-2 by Captain Kirk as he leaves his dead friend behind on the Genesis planet. Three, before he died, Spock said, remember. The puzzle was solved so easily that I think even I think 17 other people could have written the script for Star Trek III. So this is Harve Bennett speaking. Naturally, with a subtitle like The Search for Spock, could there be any doubt as to the Vulcan's return? As director Leonard Nimoy told the New York Times, well, look, we're calling the picture Star Trek III The Search for Spock. If we had Captain Kirk turn to the camera at the end of the picture and say, sorry, we didn't find him, people would throw rocks at the screen. But
we tried, we looked.
But despite the lack of utter surprises, the picture was a rousing success. Reviewers were uniformly enthusiastic. According to the Los Angeles Times, for all its spectacle in space, its humanity once again outweighs its hardware, and its innocence is downright endearing. Said USA Today, Leonard Nimoy boasted years ago that he could direct a better Star Trek movie than the first two because he had a better sense of what made the TV series a hit. And he was right. Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, is the best Star Trek movie of the three, and the closest to the original spirit created by producer Gene Roddenberry in the mid-1960s. Who knows? Considering how well Spock's spirit traveled after death, maybe the Enterprise will be rescued in Star Trek IV. Certainly there will be a 4, and we can hope Nimoy will again be at the controls. And so that's the coverage on this one. It like I said, it's quite sparse because we usually get a couple of more paragraphs. So what do you think?
This movie represents such a time in my life where it took third time's the charm when it comes to movies for me. And I'll explain, everyone. When you're young, and movies and these characters and these properties mean so much to us.
Yeah.
That when one of them is disappointing, it really hurts. And in 1981, the sequel to a then favorite all-time film, Superman 1, that was called Superman 2, a lot of people like it. That let me down so bad. I was crumbled. I crumbled into pieces. After I first saw it, I lived in denial. I hate the Richard Lester cut. I like the Donner cut later. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to have that argument now. I'm just using this as a setup and as an example.
Yes, I understand.
I love The Empire Strikes Back. Maybe my all-time favorite film right up there was Superman 1. It's like my number one, but it's close with Superman, the movie. And in 1983, the disappointment, the crushing disappointment after how much I loved. This is the second time. Return of the Jedi, yes, I'm nicer to it now. I've softened on it over the years. Still have a lot of problems with it. I'm still highly critical of it. In 1983, just south of 19 years old, waiting 3 years to see that sequel, it devastated me. I was so angry with that movie.
Yeah.
So here we go again. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Love it so much. It is so wonderful. It's so fantastic. Is this going to happen again? Well, we're getting Spock back, so you're right there. I know it because for those who don't know, back then, David Gerrold had a new release and a new formatted version of his book, The World of Star Trek, an updated one.
Mm-hmm.
And in that book, Raquel, he had synopsis of all the films, including a film that was 3 weeks from release called Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. It's in there. And back then, I'm sorry if this offends any modern people, but we weren't spoiler pansies back then. We didn't care. Now, I'm kidding. I'm not saying you should all go around having things spoiler for you, but that was just the way we were. We would read the novel if a novel came out before a film, or if the comic book adaptation, we wanted to know, how are we getting Spock back? And I can't lie to you, I read the synopsis. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I was, again, just a little bit shy of 20 years old. I was so in love with Star Trek, and so in love with Star Trek 2, and so wanting Spock back, I almost didn't care how I got him back. Now, all I'm saying is that summer of 1984, which in my opinion may be the greatest summer for movies of all time. I spent every waking hour at a movie theater that summer when I wasn't working.
I wouldn't argue with that.
I saw Star Trek 3 15 times, folks.
What?
Maybe 6 at the theater. Every night, my buddies and I would go, what do you want to do tonight? Now, by the way, I saw Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom 10-something times. A lot of people don't like that. I love it. I saw Ghostbusters well over 10, 15 times at the theater as well that same summer. I mean, I love those. And there were a lot of other films in 84. What a friggin' year. Holy crap. Well, the one I saw the most was Star Trek 3. I could pick this thing apart to pieces in a critical eye in some respects, only in some of the dialogue, though. The stories, listen, let me tell you something. This story is a mop-up. It has to fix something, or not. I don't mean to set the sound in a bad way, but it's doing the follow-up to one of the most, to this day, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is considered one of the greatest movies ever made, rightly so, and considered such a wonderful film. There are people that put it on top movie lists, top science fiction film lists. Even people who aren't big Trek fans put it up there. I mean, it's that gigantic. This movie had to follow Star Trek 2. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And, you know, when people talk, when even critics or other people who aren't huge Trek fans, when they talk about great science fiction films, they'll mention Star Trek 2, and everyone will say it's the greatest. And I'm not disputing that. It's a wonderful film. This film had to come after it. How do you do that? Yeah. Well, but it had a job to do. This film was there for an express purpose of bringing Spock back. Now,
yeah, the decision had been made, right?
It had been made.
So at this time, I'm now a teenager, and I'm completely in love with Leonard Nimoy. And so for me, when word came that they had come to an agreement about how he was going to come back, because we were quite worried that he wasn't going to come back, I felt so relieved. My hero was going to return.
Yes.
And that wasn't a guarantee. And you know, it's really easy as a modern Star Trek fan to look back on it and say, oh, well, we always knew he was coming back and it was obvious. And that's actually not true. I remember, you know, asking to read the entertainment section of the newspaper from my parental units. I also remember asking to buy the TV guide in the grocery line, just waiting here in Canada for word on what Nimoy was going to decide. And it wasn't a foregone conclusion.
No, and this is a Trek film that, again, they don't have the luxury of just going their own way with their own story. The story is called The Search for Spock. That ties you down to a certain plot, right?
Yep.
So, which is fine, because that's what it's for. This movie is to give back to the fans something that was taken away. And I have no problem with it. Nicholas Meyer can go screw himself. I'm glad that we get Spock back. Some of the dialogue was clunky with some of the other characters in it, or some of the, you know, the ancillary characters here and there. I guess you could pick it apart a little bit in some ways, but I don't care. This film got into my heart immediately when when we're on the bridge, and Kirk is, I mean, the way that, that log, with most of our battle damage repaired, Enterprise is on its, is heading back for Earth, and most of our training crew has been reassigned. Yeah. And Enterprise feels like a house with all the children gone. No,
yeah, that is a very, 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 very emotional line, especially for people who are now our age.
Well, and then when he just, more empty even than that. The death of Spock is like an open wound. I feel like I've left the noblest part of myself back there on the newborn planet. We smuggled in an audio video cassette player and recorded it. on one
No
of our
way.
viewings and used to listen to it in my car all the time. That's how nuts I
Oh,
was about this film,
wow.
over and over again. It was I think Mark put up there earlier, a hero's welcome, son. Is that what you'd like? Well, God knows there should be. This time we paid for the party with our dearest blood. I mean, so many. I mean, again, this
Yeah.
felt like it was happening to me because these people were so important to me. These characters so important
Yeah.
to me.
I agree.
Love the scene. I mean, there's scene by scene I could pick out that I just love. I love the scene when he goes to Spock's quarters and McCoy's there.
Yeah.
Jim, I mean, climb the steps, Jim.
Yeah.
Climb the steps of Mount Salea.
Salea. Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
I got chills from that scene. Because
Yeah.
scene, this is in 1984 when we're first watching this, and you still don't know everything that happened. And if you did, we're a bad boy and peeked at the the synopsis. You still don't know everything's going to happen. This was such an event for us. Also, I had a buddy of mine who couldn't get off work, so he made up a dentist appointment, and I had to go buy his ticket. I took the day off. I had to buy his ticket and go sneak it and put it in his car. And we made a dental appointment. Clint hit nudge nudge that he couldn't miss, and he went to the theater with me. And a whole bunch of us did, and we just first showing in the morning, couldn't wait. And it was just that I even had like a shirt made for it. I had a T-shirt airbrushed for it with the logo on it. I mean, we were hardcore. We couldn't wait, and it was huge, and we were so happy. I think we saw it maybe 2 or 3 times the first day.
Yeah.
And things that we became like part of our routine is every time Admiral, what's his name? Starfleet Commander, excuse me, says, Jim, the Enterprise is 20 years old. We used to yell out 40 in the theater because it's 40. That was wrong. It wasn't 20. It was 40 at that point.
Yeah.
And at little things like that, so many quotable. This movie's very quotable.
Yeah.
So many wonderful quotes in it. The Enterprise stealing sequence alone is one of my favorite things in all of Trek. I love it. We're almost up there with how much I love they're going flying around the Enterprise scene in TMP. I actually love the stealing of the Enterprise scene.
Yeah.
The
passion you feel for this totally makes sense because in TMP we're getting this science future. We're getting futurism. We're getting the nerdgasm, right? And then with Wrath of Khan, we're returning to the action. And so, if you're a hardcore Star Trek fan, you realize that that Star Trek has many gears. If it's a bicycle, it's not like one of those bicycles that you just push along. You can switch the gears on it, and we see that hyper cerebral TMP. Then we see this more action oriented Wrath of Khan, and then with Star Trek 3, we're seeing this return to these intense relationships, to these characters and their relationships with one another, their loyalty. The little intimacies they share, how they know one another. And so it really does show you 3 of those main gears of Star Trek. And it can be very fulfilling if you're an old TOS fan like we are. Clobby.
Absolutely.
Because it's like you get that cerebral nerdgasm at the beginning, then you get the evilgasm in the second iteration, then in this third, wow, we're back to characters and these wonderful intimacies and relationships and passions and just understanding what it's like to be a friend, what it's like to be a father, to experience loss, pain, aging. Reclaiming yourself when you've had an accident or an injury, how precious life is, how fleeting life is. So it's the third gear, right? And I think it was the next natural progression if you had a real passion for TOS and understood the way that TOS works.
Absolutely. By the way, Thoth, actually, Admiral Cartwright was in 4 and 6. This was Starfleet Commander. I think it was Meyer or Bear. I can't remember his damn name now for some reason. I'm having a bad, but that was Brock Peters that was Cartwright in 4 and 6 there. But yes, absolutely. So many. so many, I don't know. I mean, so many quotes. It would take me too long to go through all the wonderful quotes that I left. Of course,
Yeah.
we're getting a lot of them from Mark D with a C there, and he's doing. But yes, sealing the Enterprise, sabotaging the Enterprise. You know, the word is no. I'm therefore going anyway. Just like that. I mean, he goes and tries to get Starfleet to let him go. Christopher Lloyd, whom I love.
Yeah.
You know, was it
John Larroquette?
John Larroquette is in there. You know,
Seeing John Larroquette is a huge thing because, of course, you know, Leonard Nimoy pushed for that, right? He thought that he would be excellent as
there you
Klingon.
go. Morrow, that's it. There you go, buddy.
Yeah, Admiral Morrow. Yeah, and I was, you know, I'm looking all around for it, and
there you go. Thanks, Tom. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. But yes, Genesis for Planet Forbidden. Look, my backwards friend. By the way, price you name, money I got. Oh, but in the next movie, they're going to say they never use money. Forget. Let's not even go there. But just saying. What's that? This is fantasy. You want an adventure? How's this, Mr. Adventure? Yes,
yes, Mr. Adventure. When he gets locked in the closet, right. Poor bugger.
The Starfleet personnel was a little dopey, but one thing I would address when you could say this is kind of thin on story. Well, again, they had a job to do. In other words, bring back Spock. You had to wait. I think they did it in a nice way. This is similar to a lot of the criticisms of a film from 2012 called The Avengers, which of course was the 6th of the Marvel films. And a lot of people say, well, there's really not much of a story. I said, well, yes, there is. It was in the first 5 films. It was like the end of a chapter of a serial. That film was to, all the characters have been introduced. That film's job was to gather them together and have one adventure that will be there first. And I love it. I really do love that movie. Mm-hmm. But you could say, yeah, maybe not been much of a meaty story, but that kind of the story was in the first 5, the beginnings of all of these characters. In this case, Star Trek 3 is the tail end, it's the tail chapter, actually, and then maybe 4 is the epilogue. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it served that function and it served it well. And again, you have Christopher Lloyd. Oh, yeah. Well done, Velcris. Well done.
Yeah.
Toy Two. All those different things. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Beautiful. I mean, you have very specific things you like about Star Trek. And you can put your finger directly on them, like I can. And this is about character for you. You know, really you love concept and you love character. And here we're seeing this, overdrive. We've switched gears. We're in 3rd gear now. And it's all about these wonderful characters and how they've endeared themselves to one another and how they've endeared themselves to us and all of our expectations of them in almost feeling as though they are real. And if you're just listening to this as a podcast, I would definitely encourage you, even if you just lurk, please come and join the live chat this evening, because ask and ye shall receive. Clobby was talking about the fact that the dialogue in this movie is exceptional. Of course, I'm going to clap that and echo and amplify that. Well, the chat is responding in kind and it's explosive. We have some of the best quotes from this movie are being posted to the chat, and everyone has such great comments. So even if you're too shy to come and participate in the live chat, I definitely encourage you to come and see these comments. There's absolutely no possible way I could read them all. It would be like reading the movie. But let's just talk about what a wonderful chat we have and how excellent they are at drawing out these beautiful quips and exchanges that just fire the imagination and stir your heart stir the imagination and fire your heart, I should say. Whoa.
There's so many wonderful lines, like supposed to have transwarp drive. And if my grandmother has wheels, she'd be a wagon. Come on, Mr. Spock. Young minds, fresh ideas. Be tolerant. Some of the goofy, fun lines, like was it don't call me tiny. Little things like
Yes.
that. Sulu getting to flip that big
Yes,
monster dude over.
especially in his
I,
deep voice with his poncho, that leather poncho. I just love
yeah.
that. Apparently, what happened is the Paramount lot was like packed with some of the most expensive materials, and they just raided it and went wild. So, yeah, really great. Don't
No,
call me tiny.
just another red shirt. What's up, buddy? Don't call me tiny. And then, yeah, again, that's a great scene. Actually, also one of my favorites though is let's see here. You're suffering from a Vulcan mind meld, Doctor. That green-blooded son of a bitch. It's his revenge for all those arguments he lost.
Yeah, yeah,
I remember
yeah.
when I first saw the theater could not stop laughing. But it just
Oh,
went
yeah.
nuts. I mean, people who were there, loving these characters, and that I love that one. You know,
Yeah.
I even love little. Of course, obviously, level, please. Transporter room. Thank you. Up your shaft. Again,
Yeah.
we're so immature. Every time we couldn't get in an elevator for years without saying up your shaft. You know.
Well,
And,
that scene almost didn't happen. So,
really.
yeah, it was the studio wasn't too pleased about that. So that one that almost didn't go down. So
Well, so and that's wow, okay. I'm
go
glad it was in
down
there. It's a
like an
classic.
elevator.
But
Sorry.
I love that it got left in there, and oh, it was Mark D with the C saying George Takei didn't like the whole being called tiny thing.
Yeah.
But then when he saw the screening of the film, he apologized about it. Yeah, because you got to flip the dude for it, so it's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It was funny. Again, it was Starfleet personnel acting like dopes. They were all idiots, except for maybe that Federation security guy that arrested McCoy. He seemed
Well,
like he had a brain.
maybe, but maybe not, because for me, Star Trek 3 is very immersive. So I think it is brutally honest in portraying how things would happen in real life, insofar as there would be a great deal of hero worship around these people. Not a lot of people would be questioning what they did. People would be in awe of them. This team, their 5-year mission is it's the stuff of legend. I don't even want to use the word legend because, of course, legend has the accumulative connotation that it's not true, that it's a myth. So I do think that there would be a great deal of hero worship there, and so I'm quite forgiving of the fact that some of them act rather dopey, especially Mr. Adventure.
Well, they gotta have some dopes. It's fine. Let them be
Yeah.
dopey. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying they were kind of idiots, but
Yeah.
some of them were. Not the Federation security guy. He was pretty level-headed.
He was.
Rennie A, the lovely Rennie A. Hello. Thank you for
people.
being here. Beautiful lady. Great to see you. And Sandra and Raymond are going to bed, but they said they will listen and lurk. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
We love you guys.
Felicianos.
Yeah, appreciate you both.
Yeah, Wolfie, and those new phasers, they were just beautiful. And we got a close-up on them when Uhura holds the phaser up to Mr. Adventure and forces him in the closet. They're sexy, aren't they? Those new phasers were great.
Yeah, and even Captain Styles, that we don't know if he was supposed to be the Styles from Balance of Terror or not, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, again, Bridge, this is the captain. How can you have a yellow alert in space dock? There were some goofballs, but but that's okay. The Enterprise crew are great, and I love some of the lines in it. I mean, when they're stealing Enterprise, my friends, Dr. McCoy and I have to do this. The rest of you do not. Admiral, we're losing precious time.
Yeah.
What course, please, Admiral? Mr. Scott, I'd be grateful, Admiral, if you'd give the word.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, may the wind be at our backs. Stations, please. I mean, I just love every inch of it. Even later when they finally steal it. Kirk, you do this. You never sit in the captain's chair again. Wrong, by the way. But he gets out there and gentlemen, your work today has been outstanding. I recommend you all for promotion, whatever fleet we end up serving. Little bits like that, stuff like when I actually love the bit when McCoy, is scanning. Indications negative at this time. When they use, it was so creepy the way they used Nimoy's voice for that.
Yes.
Did I get it right? Great, it's just great. Jobber, what's up, Just Joe? Great to see you, man.
Yeah.
Again, so many wonderful, fun, humorous character scenes in all of the the seriousness.
Agreed. Clubby, did Dark Shadow Logan just get here?
I don't know. Did he?
I think Dark
Here?
Shadow Logan just walked through the door. Good evening,
Dark
fine
Shadow
sir.
Logan, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, sir. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here, man.
Yep.
I always appreciate you.
Just Joe 47. Sorry I missed you.
That's Jobber. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. So, where's the logic in from right home, you idiot? Oh, one of my favorite ones is to expect one to order poison in a bar is not logical.
That's such a good line.
So many fun lines in it. Again, a lot of just. I can never watch this thing without just touching my heart because it brings. And again, these films do this. It brings me back to that wonderful summer every time I watch it. Every time.
Yeah.
I remember all the stuff. And it's funny. It brings me back to all those other movies I was watching too. When I wasn't going to see Trek 3, like I said, I was going to see Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters, and I mean, so many other great films came out that year. So it was just a wonderful time. And oh my goodness, stealing the Enterprise to go save their friend. It became a thing. Like this is about friendship. Now you could argue, Starfleet probably should have listened to him. It's Kirk, okay? Let him. What's it going to hurt him going back there and trying to look for Spock? So I don't know. They were being kind of hard heads about it because it was a galactic controversy.
It was, and they got themselves into a lot of trouble because a lot of people perceived it as a weapon, and what were they going to do with it? Michael Beacom, welcome.
Michael, hello there, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for being here tonight. Yes, it was a galactic controversy, as he put it. And I tried to say it like Admiral Morrow. But still,
did I lose you?
No, you go from a lot of that. I was just trying to collect my thoughts. You go from a lot of that stuff, the kind of the lighthearted stuff with stealing of the Enterprise, to such a really, really powerful, dramatic scene of Kirk dealing with the knowledge that his son has just been murdered.
Yeah, and when he falls backward, it's
brutal.
Yeah, Nimoy said that he thought that at first it was an accident that he fell backwards, and it played so well that I think he did it in another take, and just that pain. You Klingon bastard. You killed my son.
Killed my son. That's a beautiful piece of acting by Shatner.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about, was it the comic adaptation or one of the? I don't know. There's supposed to be a line where that they either cut it out or it wasn't in the script or it wasn't in the film where when Krug says, "Have I?" because he didn't know it was a son, and they just cut that. So I don't know if it's because he did, which I don't know that adds much to anything anyway. It's just how I was doing that last week with the comic adaptation with the Wrath of, with TMP, because Wrath of Khan didn't have a comic book adaptation to 2010, but all the other ones did.
Yep.
But that's a beautiful scene.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, it was mixed emotions for me blowing up the Enterprise. It's a great scene, but it kills me every time. And I was mad at them in some ways, but one of the most beautiful scenes in Star Trek, because I just that scene with DeForest Kelly could not have been more perfect. When my God, Bones, what have I done?
Yeah,
what you had to do, what you always do, turn death into a fighting chance to live.
Yeah,
I mean, it's beautiful music by James Horner.
Yes,
a great score once again that he's put for this film. That's brutal Star Trek right there. Watching that beautiful ship burn up like that, and I just. Kills me every time.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful movie, I don't come from a generation where we had a lot of sequels, and the one of the things about this film is it didn't feel like a sequel. It just felt like it felt like a gear shift. Bringing those first two movies together under this idea that sometimes Star Trek can be cerebral, sometimes it can be action packed, and sometimes it can be about characters and relationships. And so we get to see the full measure of what Star Trek has to offer. So I mean, it's a stroke of brilliance. It's a stroke of genius, and I love this film.
Michael Bickham, I don't agree with that, because even though I killed me to lose the Enterprise, to blow it up, the automation system was overloaded. They couldn't do anything. They weren't, even though they had more power, they had no control over anything. There was no way to beat the Klingons at that point. They were going to be boarded. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
what Kirk could have done.
Yeah.
Now, he may have made a mistake by going to Genesis in the first place, if you want to put it that way. But, he was, following his heart. He was going back. And remember something people don't think about a lot. When he's going to Genesis, he doesn't know he's going to find Spock's regenerated adult body. He doesn't know about the proto-matter. He doesn't know any of these things. But I don't know of any other way he could have defeated the Klingons at that point.
But it's also interesting because think of Clobby, how many times he threatened to blow up the Enterprise in order to reclaim that power, where he had to say to some alien entity, well, that's it. We're just going to go into self-destruct. And this heightens the relationship that you feel with the IP, because now it's become possible to have a catastrophic loss. So not only have we lost Spock, but now we're going to lose our ship, and that is the nature of these adventures. You don't always get away without losing your son, without losing your friend, and without having to blow something up. And that creates a different type of action that is not beholden to gratuitous violence, to gore. It makes you feel worried in a completely different way than just, vulgarity or base violence would. So I think that as an instrument for building that suspense and making us feel like there's some risk there, I think it's marvelous.
Kirk, I don't agree with that, Michael. But how they beam aboard and there's no oxygen. Well, what is the crew going to do? I mean, unless they're going to beam down and with a ship. Now, if you can sit there and think of all kind of ways Kirk could have beat him, I'm sure you could. But Kirk didn't have a whole lot of time for one thing. I give 2 minutes for you and your gallant crew.
Gallant crew, yeah.
He had 2 minutes. I guess I could think of one right now that you could probably pull a trick you could have pulled. But I love the Enterprise, and I hate seeing it die. But I think it works for dramatic effect here. Again, he didn't have a full crew that they could have easily, take. I mean, they would have had no shot if that had a full complement on that crew. So I don't know. I think it was fine. It works for me, but I'm sorry it doesn't work for you, bud. What can I tell you? But I think it worked fine, and I hated it seeing that ship destroyed. I mean, I couldn't stand Ken Ralston, the effects guy, who was happy about destroying it, like that jackass. But sitting off the bridge, blowing up the atmosphere, takes 2 seconds. Huh? Sealing off the bridge and the blowing. Well,
but Michael, the thing is Michael, if I could just interject here, you also have to understand too, though, like I have extensive notes for this film that I'm going to be reading afterwards. That is Leonard Nimoy's walk through this film, and it's very important to realize that Harve Bennett fully said, "I don't write science fiction. I write television shows," and when Leonard Nimoy got himself tangled in this relationship with Harve Bennett doing this film, he was explicit in saying that he wanted an emotional film that focused back on the characters and brought the whole team together. So it's very important to really think about this film the way that I've described it when we're thinking of TOS. So sometimes TOS can be hard science fiction, the kind of thing that makes Isaac Asimov sit up, or an astrophysicist at NASA sit up and go, that's interesting. And then it also has moments where it can be like Wrath of Khan, where there is going to be a dastardly villain. The situation seems insurmountable, and the crew comes together, and the consequences of it are dire and perhaps violent, not too violent, but a little violent. And then there is this mode of Star Trek where it's the test of convictions. It's the test of loyalty. It's the test of relationships and intelligence and interaction. And so I think it is too much to ask for a film to do all three of those things at once. I think that there's a reason why we have to shift gears when we're watching TOS, and sometimes we see that hard fiction and hard science fiction, and sometimes we see the science fiction with a little action and then sometimes we see this science fiction that's more like speculative fiction and more about relationships and more of this cerebral take on how we treat one another and where we're going as human beings. The voices inside of us that dictate how we treat one another and the people who we love. And so I think, as an author myself and as a science fiction author, that that something very specific happened with TMP. Something very specific happened with Wrath of Khan. You have a whole bunch of writers writing this one story, and they're trying to stay dedicated to Gene Roddenberry's vision. And then you had this third story that I think really did need to occur in exactly this way, and to draw all of those ideas and gears in this machine we call Star Trek, to draw them all together to help them to make sense. If I've expressed myself in a way that makes sense.
You have, and again, you can Monday morning quarterback this thing to death if you want to. I mean, yes, you can come up with all kind of other ways. The ship was in bad shape anyway, and they took it out with a no crew on it, with an automation system, and Scotty didn't expect to take it into combat. I think, the case can be made that Kirk did what he had to do. Am I happy the Enterprise was blown up? No, but it works. It works beautifully for the drama of the film. And so I'm fine with it. If you're not into it, I mean, I hated seeing it. I mean, it tore me to pieces. Yeah. Seeing that, but I think there was good cause in this case to do that.
I think so too, and I think that. Thank you so much, Jill. I think that when you're looking at what you're trying to do with a piece of writing, and including a film, what you're trying to do with that film, it's very important that that everyone at home realize that a really good author is thinking about the audience. They're thinking about what the audience thinks and what the audience feels. Mm-hmm. And so I like I said, I just think that this film really needed to be made in the exact way that it was made, for those very specific reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love it. And but look, not everyone does, and that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of wonderful dramatic effect from that transpires from that horrible getting to see the Enterprise blown up like that. Well, and then when they find Spock again, you got to kind of keep in mind is something that I think a lot of people don't. They did not expect the planet to be aging. They didn't know anything about the proto-matter. They certainly didn't expect. I didn't know. They went to go find Spock's body, but they thought it would be in a photon tube. Yep. They didn't even know it soft landed. Yep. Until later, they found out when David and Savick went down and found about all this kind of stuff. So they didn't really know what they were getting into. Yeah. And he had to improvise. The detail, it was not necessary. I don't agree with it. We don't know that it was not necessary. I think it worked, but it's fine. But it's fine if you don't agree. That's cool, man. It's fine. Yeah. No big deal.
And Michael says, I hear you, but deep down, it was not necessary the way they did it. If you had to destroy the ship, it should have been built up more, not just a joke. The only thing talking is the computer, he has in quotes, which is, of course, what the Klingon says when they board it. Michael, I now I see what you're trying to get at. You just sort of it sort of hurt your feelings because you had a relationship with the ship, and certainly lots of people did. There were a lot of people who were mad.
I love the ship.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do. Oh, Katie Carr. Good evening, gorgeous ballerina.
Hey, Katie. Great to see you. Hey, Michael, that's the way it goes, man. We appreciate your opinion no matter what. Just like I say, I think there was cause to, and by the way, I love the ship, so I hate it being destroyed. Yeah. I think it worked in this film, though. But I hear you, man. That's why not everyone likes it. And hey, it messes me up every time I see it, but I think there was good cause for it. But we can't agree on everything, brother.
Yeah, it's true.
Still appreciate you being here.
There are some people who watch TOS and they don't like things like a piece of the action. They think that it's too much comedy and so on and so forth, which we'll get into when we discuss the next film. So these what you're saying totally makes sense, Michael Beacom. Yeah, and both Clobby and I respect it because there are people who are really attracted to hard science fiction and they come to Star Trek with some of them with a passion for one particular aspect of the way Star Trek tells stories. So I can certainly see where you're coming from, and I respect your point of view.
Well, Katie, it's wonderful to see you. We're on Star Trek 3 right now, buddy.
Yeah, we sure are.
So, yeah. Steve doesn't like it either. Oh, well,
oh no. Okay, well then maybe it would be okay if I get through and just quickly go through
with
the
your
things.
notes, please do. Yes, please.
Okay, so if you're wondering what I'm talking about at home and you're new to Star Trek, or you're just an average fan and you're not sort of weird like we are, I watch Star Trek every single year through the OMPC collection, which is the original motion picture collection, and those are. There's a commentary of them that includes everyone who directed it and wrote it, and also Ronald D. Moore is involved in some of the commentary. So Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, June 1st, 1984. In the OMPC collection has a Leonard Nimoy walkthrough. So I'm just going to give you the highlights of some of the things that he said, because I think it's really important that you know these things about this film. So Nimoy said at the top of his commentary, he wanted a very emotional film. We see this in his behavior towards the team. The team is evident. This film screams, let's get the whole team on the bridge. Harve Bennett wanted a standalone film and wanted the previous film summarized. So he wanted it more contained, like a television show. And he actually says that when he's talking with Leonard Nimoy in the OMPC collection. Bennett wanted Kirk as a narrator. So it's very important for you to know that although Harve Bennett delivered us something that wasn't quite as hard fiction as science fiction as people wanted, I want you to know that he is essentially the person who invented personal logs. Bennett insisted that he was a television writer and that he wasn't a science fiction writer. Nimoy and Bennett say this film exemplifies and explains the Klingon mentality. Nimoy felt TMP was too much about the ship. He wanted to strike a balance. Nimoy hated the TMP portrayal of his quarters. He wanted his quarters changed. John LaRoquette as a Klingon was Nimoy's personal choice. He was tickled pink to have John LaRoquette on the cast. Mark Leonard, or Leonard, however you want to pronounce it, considers Leonard Nimoy the defining Vulcan. I'm going to say that again because it's very important, because I'm sort of snippy about this kind of stuff. I'm a purist and of the highest order, an annoying purist. Mark Leonard considers Leonard Nimoy the defining Vulcan. And I'm going to give you a follow-up comment on that in a minute. The mind meld was created by Gene Roddenberry. Leonard Nimoy says this in the commentary. Without a doubt, the mind meld was created by Gene Roddenberry, and Leonard Nimoy couldn't remember which episode it was, but of course I did. Dr. Van Gelder, Dagger of the Mind, Season 1, Episode 9. Savick in Wrath of Khan. Now, this is very, very important. If you are a hardcore fan, I want you to perk up your ears right now. Savick in Wrath of Khan was conceptualized by Nicholas Meyer. So he conceptualized the Savick character. And he did it with the help of Kirstie Alley. Now, some mistakes were made there to the point where they were entertaining the idea of saying that she was a Romulan to explain why she cried in Wrath of Khan. But here in the commentary, something very interesting happens. Leonard Nimoy says that Savick in Star Trek 3 was conceptualized by Nimoy and Robin Curtis. So it's very important now for you to understand that Gene Roddenberry considered Leonard Nimoy the creator, the co-creator of Vulcans, Vulcanians. And then we have Mark Lenard saying, yes, indeed, Leonard Nimoy is the defining Vulcan. And then here we have my hero imbibing all of this and having all of these Star Trek experts surrounding him and openly admitting, for very purposeful reasons, without being directly rude, that Saavik was conceptualized by Nicholas Meyer and Kirstie Alley, whereas Saavik in Star Trek III was conceptualized by Nimoy and Robin Curtis. So it's very important that you know that the Vulcan you see in Star Trek III is the true Vulcan. Nimoy felt that he was on trial. That's, I believe, his direct quote. He felt on trial by his castmates. They tested him and questioned all of his decisions on set, openly on set. You can hear it in his tone of voice that he was disappointed and even hurt by this. I strongly encourage you to listen to the OMPC and turn on this commentary. It's quite revealing. He says he wanted all of the heroes. Nimoy wanted his team of heroes. And in so doing, it's very important that everyone look at TMP and everyone sees the Trinity. When people look at Wrath of Khan, they see the Trinity. But when they look at Star Trek III, they see the whole team. Nimoy hated typecasting. He goes on for a few minutes in this commentary, calling typecasting a fear. We can see this when he talks about in his novels about I am Spock and I am not Spock. He was very, very afraid of typecasting. The Vulcan mating ritual, this was the first, and it was pushed by Leonard Nimoy. I want you all to know that Leonard Nimoy says in his own voice in the OMPC commentary that the studio tried to stop it. Nimoy says the Klingon makeup was all about economics. So all of that lore that you hear about why the Klingons were changing was only about money. And he said, he actually says in the commentary, it was direct or else. And then I have in an exclamation point in parentheses, these are Nimoy's own words. So when you were all sitting there, scared like I was when you were a teenager or a young person and you wondered if Nimoy was going to come back, his exact words in this commentary are direct or else. There was a secret campaign about the destruction of the Enterprise, and Nimoy speaks at length about the outcry over his death and that the studio even took in a letter campaign in its regard. So those are the highlights of my heroes' comments. You can find them in OMPC, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, film he directed. And that's all I have to add on that one.
Excellent. Parrot Head, what's up?
Hey, Parrot Head!
Parrot Head, wasting away. What's up, man? Good to see you. It's always great to see you here, sir. Well, yeah, again, nice coverage and great notes. Finishing up with the film itself, I mean, what can you say? It ends in a very emotional fashion. Drop all weapons over there, all but Kirk. I mean, I just love Christopher Lloyd could say anything. He could read the phone book, and I would love it.
This is a pretty good impression, chat. You have to agree. This is a pretty good impression Clubby's doing here.
It's not that good, but I love him. Man. He's too easy, though. But I love the guy. Yeah. I love the guy. He's fantastic, though. And I remember Siskel and Ebert both giving the film thumbs up. They went thumbs up or thumbs down with their reviews. They didn't give you A, B's or that kind of stuff on their show. When you see, and I kind of like, was it? Well, Ebert was saying something like, I think this is a good but not a great Star Trek movie. And, in other words, he liked it, but he had some issues with it. But he really liked it that we got kind of a Kirk fight. Now this time we get old Kirk fight. Instead of young Kirk fight. But it was still a pretty good one, especially, that was Shatner when he jumped on him going, ah! mean, this guy just killed his son.
Yeah.
He wanted to beat the crap out. I'm convinced Kirk just wanted him down there so he could beat the living crap out of him.
And I love him
And I
in
love
this
it.
way. You know, I wish the Felicianos hadn't left, because I know that Sandra, well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that Sandra has served. Has she not? Isn't she in the military or something?
I believe so.
If someone is in the military in the chat, please speak up. But I mean, what's the average age of an admiral? So, you know, I love seeing an admiral kicking butt, kicking ASS and taking names, as the cool kids say. And I think it's cool that it's realistic that he is that age. You know what I mean? How many 18-year-old colonels do you know out there?
Oh my god! There you go. Yeah, but was it Mark? Do you watch that impression? I might get a copyright strike. A copyright strike. Oh well, you know.
So he agrees. You do it. You do it well.
As they say, you know, as I always say, if it's not one thing, it soon will be. I'm sorry, that's not Krug. That's Reverend Jim. I mean, you know, it's Christopher
Phoenix
Lloyd.
Argus. Thank you.
Also,
coming. Nice to meet you.
Basgod. Did you say how do you pronounce that? Basgod or Basegod 14?
Basegod 14.
Hello there. Is it bass? Is that saying? Okay.
Well, it might be Basgod. He might play bass, or he might be a fisherman. So who knows? But we love you. Thanks for showing up.
Phoenix is here.
Yeah, Phoenix Argus walks through the door.
You know, because Steve Mitchum is such a good friend, and he hates my Carson impression. I promise you. You know what? Doc, Steve does not like our Johnny Carson impression, so I will not do it anymore. This is me not doing it ever again. If that's okay with you, Doc, and if that's okay with you, Ed. Sorry, that is wild, weird stuff. Sorry, Steve, I got to do it one more time, but I promise, no more, bro. He hates that.
That one isn't bad. That one isn't bad, but you're Christopher Lloyd. It's darn good, and I'm glad that Mark D with a C backed me up on that. That is a darn good impression.
Well, you think he hates my car. The thing is, the Carson's the one I love doing the most. Like, you know,
much to Steve Mitchum's chagrin.
A chimpanzee and 2 trainees can run her. Thank you, Mrs. Scott. I'll try not to take that personally. Well, thank you, Steve.
Hey, TMF is here.
Oh, TMF,
hey,
what's up, dude? We got all kind of great people coming in here. Ah, man, I tell you what.
Jill says, I like your impressions, Clobby.
Oh, you're too kind. You guys. How about if we do the entire show this way? I'm just kidding. We won't. But did you ever see Kevin J. Pollock, the comedian, back when it was before Trek 5 came out? He did a sketch called Star Trek 5 in Search of Cash. He said, what if all the characters were played by real stars? So he did like different voices, like Bill Murray was Kang. Oh, there, members of the human feces. My name is Kang. I'll be your conqueror for today. And he had like, I think it was Robin Williams was Spock. And he had, no. Christopher Lloyd was Spock. That's right. Robin Williams was, who was he? Anyway, check that out. It's great. It's hilarious.
That was very popular in the 80s. Yeah, all those guys who could do like hundreds of voices and they were like dead on right. You could buy concert tickets almost every other weekend to these different guys with all these different names, and they had hundreds of voices. So you would just sit there for 2 hours while they did impressions. That was like a very 80s thing. I can't even believe you brought that up, Clobby. So if you're Gen X right now or older or you're a boomer, you definitely know what we're talking about here.
You can probably find it online. Kevin J. Pollock, hilarious comedian who was great with the impressions, way better than I'll ever be. Because he was the one who started all the ridiculous, over-the-top Shatner, impression that everyone goes over the board with now. He was one of the ones that did that. Oh shit! But yeah, I love him.
It's so good. It's so good. I love that you brought that up. I'm trying to remember the guy who did that in Canada. He did so many cross Canada tours. I think his name was Andre something. But when I think of 80s and Andre, I think of Andre Agassi. But I forget the guy's name. But yeah, he could do like 300 voices or something like that. Something crazy.
Well, Dark Chatter also mentions Rich Little. He was brilliant. He was great with all that.
Yes, see what I mean? Dark Shadow Logan, it was so popular in the 80s. Why did we like impressions so much back then? It was like a drug. Like everyone was doing it. We could watch hours of it on TV. We'd go to these concerts.
Well, you mentioned Rich. You mentioned Rich Little. By the way, he was so good at Carson. Had a good sense of humor, but he hated when people did his. He hated when Dana Carvey did him. But he liked Rich Little so much so that in a movie that was about the Rich Little, that was about the Johnny Carson, David Letterman, Jay Leno debacle that they made, Rich Little actually plays Carson in that thing, and he does a way better Carson than anybody, of course, especially me. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know how we got over there, but I love this film. I love the way it's a touching ending when the refusion of putting Spock's Akatra, taking it from McCoy to putting it back in his newly regenerated body. Is pretty great. Love that minute, that ending music, that touching when he finally Spock says, "Jim, your name is Jim. Chip,
yeah,
out of danger." I just love, again, that really just tugs at your heartstrings. You've got Spock back.
Well, unless you're married to my husband, who never used to watch Star Trek before he met me. And when we get to that part, he looks at him and says, I never forget a face.
I didn't forget a face.
Chekhov. And I'm like, Andy, you're ruining the movie. Be quiet.
I'm mad at the Mad Magazine parody because when I read it, now I can't get it out of my head that in Mad Magazine, when he looks at me and goes, "Louise, your name is Louise." Well, you'll remember it later. That music, oh my God, music. I always love it in these films when they put a little bit of touch of the Alexander Courage in that music.
Yeah, Alexander Courage is amazing.
I love it, love it, love it. So Trek 3, I think if you've got any more things to say about it, shall we move on?
No, boss, I just, the last thing I would want to say is to make sure that you look at that original motion picture collection, and definitely play that commentary. There are two types of commentary available in that collection. One is the production folks and just various experts, and then there are the directors. So I definitely encourage you to go through those and hear what Leonard Nimoy has to say about his own film.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess everyone, what we'll do now is I will get my rating for Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, from my wonderful first officer. I'll give mine, and then I will ask our chat. We're in trouble, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'll say, chat, what is your rating? But first I will get yours.
Okay, so I'm a weirdo, and you guys all know that like TMP is the greatest movie that was ever made. Literally the greatest movie ever made. And Wrath of Khan, the greatest movie that was ever made. And every single time I watch this Star Trek 3, I watch it every single year. I am floored by how incredible it is. So this time around, I actually sat up in bed watching it with my husband and said, with a lot of profanity, "This is the greatest film ever made." And I looked at him and I said, "I realize that I'm a sick person. I want to convert our basement into the 10 forward, or I want to do the walls in L cars. I want to do it in any iteration. I can't get enough Star Trek, and I realize I'm sick in the head. This is an A plus for me. This is gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love it as much as TMP, and I love it as much as Wrath of Khan. TMP speaks to my brain. Wrath of Khan, it speaks to my passion, and Star Trek 3 speaks to my ethics and how I feel about relationships. It's my heart. It's A plus.
Beautifully said. Wonderful, wonderful. I, of course, am an A plus because I fully admit, everyone, this is Raquel said, I'm sick. This movie is part of my life. It's part of my life experience that brings me back every time I watch it. These characters mean so much to me. Them getting the piece that the absolutely irreplaceable piece that they need for the triumvirate, the Trinity, to survive, makes me happy. I enjoy every second of it. Every time I watch it, I enjoyed it every time I watched it on the theater, and 15 times or whatever it was on the theater back in 1984, and every other time since, quoting it, loving it. I just, again, it's such a part of my heart that I will fully admit I don't have much of a critical eye, and I usually have a critical eye with almost everything I watch, but this is something it means a lot to me. And that doesn't mean anyone else. None of you shouldn't have a critical eye. Do that. But rate it any the way you feel like. But I go with an A+. That's me now. Now I will ask our illustrious chat to give their reviews.
Yeah, and
their ratings.
Yeah, if you're new here, you can do it through stars, or you can do it through usually in our community they do grades, because they know that I'm a college instructor. So it started off as a joke where I would ask them to grade it if they were grading my papers for me. So yeah, you can do the grading system by letter, or you can give it out of 100, and go ahead and give some comments, because you know what, your opinion matters around here, and you guys have such great conversations going on in the chat. There's no way we could get to all of them. So this rating system is a way for you to reach out and to raise your hand, step forward, and say what you think. So we love those comments.
Indeed. Let's see here. Parrothead started early on us, but we love him. Parrothead says 6. I don't know what his scale is, but that's 6 from him.
Maybe 6 out of 10.
I don't know. Could be. Rod Hunderhart has an A for us.
Yes.
I had to, but everyone I'll get to, I had to halt my chat because some people jumped the gun early before I asked. You shall be punished. The booth for this one. Rod Thunderheart, your agonizer, please. Let's see. All right, let's see. Z. I think this might be our first one. If I miss anybody, always let me know. Katie Carr, the wonderful Katie Carr. Overall, I give Star Trek 3 a solid A. The dialogue was very good and poetic. Steve Mitchum. It's always got to be 1. 1 of 2. C-. Lazy writers looked for a way to get Spock back to life to keep this cash train rolling. They didn't have the courage to keep Spock dead, so they did a reduced calorie death. I'm glad they didn't have the courage to keep Spock dead, because Star Trek doesn't work without him. But the destruction in the ship was a metaphor for the script. That's okay. The Dean of Wrongness at Wrongo University.
It's good that you're so big and tall, because during CLOBBERIN, I am 100% going to kick you in the shin, and then I'm going to run.
Then he's going to beat me up. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
Nah, he wouldn't hurt me. Well, he might, but he's my buddy. He knows I love him. And by the way, just in case, Steve is absolutely right about everything, folks. No matter what, because he's a master of kung fu. Kung fu. Now, we all look. I've known this man for 40,000 years, and I love him.
John from another planet.
I would take a bullet for Steve.
He's a very sweet human being.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do where I would put the bullet, but I would take it. 5 stars from Janet from another planet. It is lovely to see you. Dark Shadow Logan. A. Death of Kirk's son. Spock returns. Yeah. Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon. I can't. I'm sorry.
Love it.
Not a perfect film, but its emotional moments make it really strong film.
Yeah.
Yes. Kirk loses his son to regain his brother Spock. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent comments, Dark Shadow Logan.
At what cost? Your ship, your son.
Yeah.
If I hadn't tried, the cost would have been my soul.
Yeah.
But of course, the more cynical would quote Hitchhiker's Guide from the Galaxy, is what Claude likes to do. This whole thing, a line in Hitchhiker's Guide, ship, sun, boom. So he could have said that. Ship, sun, boom. Jesus is my king, 68. 8 out of 10 self-destruct sequence, A-. Kirk didn't mourn David as much as he did over Spock. And it was a nice bridge between 2 and 4 before it got destroyed.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I hear you there, sir. Snortopoopas Cuba. A. Kirk's mood has changed since the end of The Wrath of Khan, where he seemed to be coming to grips with the loss of Spock, at least outwardly. Now he's displaying signs of depression. Well, that makes sense. I think that made sense, though. I mean, I could understand. I'm sure you put on a brave face, then you start thinking about it. And this has been obviously a week or two or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, by the time this film starts up.
Yep.
The theme of personal sacrifice is carried forward from the Wrath of Khan, this time with Kirk sacrificing his career and his ship and ultimately losing his son.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I love our chat. They are fantastic. I love getting all their reviews.
Very intelligent people and very knowledgeable geeks and nerds. I love each and every one of them.
Indeed, indeed. There were the usual apparent discrepancies in the relative sizes of the Enterprise and the Bird of Prey in different shots, making the latter appear larger than it was supposed to be at times. That happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
1 of 4 for Wolfie 762.
Ow!
Grade 8 out of 10. This film is very personal for me, so it's hard to really judge it on its merits and shortcomings. Very early owned VHS in our house. Yeah, I remember I couldn't wait to buy the VHS as I did. Absolutely.
They were very expensive. I just rented mine at the Red Rooster because there's no way we could have afforded that. I came from a childhood of very modest means.
Oh, we rented it and copied it too, but by the time when it finally came out for sale, we bought it. Yeah, I loved it. 2 of 4. I think this is one of Horner's better scores. Yeah, it was really good. Brave 6th grade music class. I brought this score in and played Stealing Enterprise while my classmates brought in modern early 90s music.
Wolfie, I played a lot of Wolfie. Star Trek in band as well.
Indeed, nice. All about the toys. Star Trek II success seemed to give the producers the budget to launch the next 20 I guess realty years and 100 canon years of Starship models in the Star Trek universe. It's Bruce Lombardo. 8 out of 10, not as good as Wrath of Khan. Stephen Thompson, B+. Michael Beacom, B-. For some things, Harv B could not control. Starved for cash on sets, FX production time, and for previous stated objections. Understood, sir.
Yep. 16 million isn't too much, is it, Michael?
No, it ain't a lot, is it? No, I hear you, man. It was, 2 and 3 that's kind of the TV production end of Paramount. The TV producers. Arwen, I'll give it an A-. Thank you.
Well, thank you, beautiful.
Thank you so much there. Scuba Pete, A for me. Love it. Crazy Pineapple. A great bridge between 2 and 4. That's a B. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Anti-derivative Jill says, A+. I love A Search for Spock for many reasons. Reason number 1 is Christopher Lloyd. Sorry, I'm just kidding. He is a phenomenal actor, and seeing him as a Klingon is something to treasure. Yep, I love the guy. Guy is amazing in everything he's in, including the new film. Everyone, Nobody. Yes, he's in a movie with Shatner right now. By the way, a new one.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I also value the rich world building you get with Star Trek. For instance, in this movie, we're introduced to the Excelsior, which Sulu later captain said is absolutely true. Absolutely.
You sound like my husband. He says that every time we watch it.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. And he'd have got there quicker if he hadn't helped steal the Enterprise and got himself in trouble. D-Bud Martin, A-. It has a tough time, wedged between 3 and 4, but it has great emotional scenes and does what it needs to do. Bring back Spock. There's no
Give me
way,
my hero back.
If they weren't going to bring him back, I'm not sure I could have gone back. To be quite honest with you, it's not Star Trek without Spock. It just as it's not without the 3. Without the 3, I can't. I don't want to think about it.
I beg your pardon, Clobby. I'll be really quick. Stephen Thompson, I just want you to know that I didn't want to get the ratings off track. I am absolutely reading everything that you're saying and noting your suggestions and all of your comments. I just want you to know that. And that said, I'm going to throw it back to you, boss. Let the ratings continue.
Okay. I'm way behind, so I'm not seeing any of those yet, Stephen. So glad number 1's monitoring that. 6 out of 10 for Parrothead. Okay, gotcha. And Jill also said, Then it turns into a bit of an action movie, which drags for me just a little when I want some more sci-fi. But it's still very fun and makes up for it with deep characterization. Yeah, great
Oh,
characterization stuff.
Jill. So, Jill, you're not just a geek, you're a nerd. You like science fiction. Jill, you're my kind of
Well,
girl.
I
I
love me some.
totally agree.
That would make me almost a nerd. And I love me some science fiction.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
see.
well, a
The
lot of women. If you look at the demographic and psychographic of the kinds of IPs that women enjoy and the genres they enjoy, it is very rarely this hard science fiction. We are in the minority. We're a tiny little group, and we're a tight knit group, and we're very caring towards each other. So Jill's in there with us, and I love every second of it.
Indeed. That propensity led to the big sad death of the movie of Enterprise 1701. No bloody A, B, C, or D. I love it. The android at the bar said, "You can show me on my old ship." I love that thing.
Yeah.
Overall, it's a necessary movie to bring back Spock, and still very good.
Yep.
Toxic Man Flu. F-. I hated this film. I mean, killing off Han Solo at the hands of his own son. Wait, wrong movie. A+. So who is sexy got the doobie was awesome.
Right?
Dude, I love Toxic Man Flu.
Mr. Adventure.
I'll have Mr. Adventure eating out of my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Steve's going to let us beat him up. So there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we still, even if you let us, we couldn't, dude. You're a master.
It's going to be really bad.
Yeah, it'd be pretty messed up. The great Lord Thoth, buddy.
LT.
A-. There are a lot of issues I have with some of the plot, but man, the nostalgia train hits me.
Yeah.
At 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
Okay, so if you're new here, I want you to know that LT is very endeared to this community. He's been here since the beginning. And we, the chat, the whole community, we call him Scrooge McDuck. We call him the Scrooge McDuck of reviews. And I've actually said that if you give him coal, he could turn it into a diamond. So that is a very high rating for LT if you're new around here.
Oh, shite. Yep. That is a high review, buddy. I can't. Yeah, look, I'm fully upfront about it. It's in my heart. I'm not. I can't. But as Sarek says in this film itself, "Forgive me, Tular, but my logic is uncertain where my son is concerned."
Yeah, what a great line.
My logic is uncertain where Star Trek 3 is concerned, folks. Sorry. JT Kirk, 9 transwarp attempts out of 10. So many awesome things. In the movie, I'll only say the Genesis planet kind of looked a little too soundstage for me. It was that Paramount Backlot or whatever, which really did burn down. For me, and looks average compared to films of the day. It was, Well, let's break it up because of proto matter. Dang it!
Yeah, low budget.
Steve, Jobber Brother is just Joe 47. 8 out of 10 or a B.
Thank you, sir.
There are some great scenes and character moments, but a lot of clunky stuff, especially on planet Vulcan, where they were clearly limited with the budget.
Yeah.
Gotcha. From or for, let's see. From or for, I'm not sure what that one is, James. Let's see here. See, you mentioned from. Let's say, I think we got them all, everyone. Oh, no, there we go. Bascod. Look, if I'm not saying that right, just remember I'm an illiterate Claude. So, Bascod. I'm just going to say it like that, but you could easily correct us if you want, because we like being corrected. A B+, mostly only because there are other Trek films I think are stronger. Well, that is fair enough, my friend. That is all fair enough.
Absolutely.
Yes, Parrothead, it is. We're about to get onto that one. In fact, that is the next film. Okay, well, look. Here's another one. Pat S. Where you been, Bo? Where you been, bro? Pat S. B. I was probably 9 years old when I saw this.
Pat, you're young.
You're younger than me, you dang whippersnapper.
Holy moly.
It's the only Trek I've never seen on the big screen. I honestly never understood why Kirk couldn't Genesis David as a little kid. Oh, okay. Give me Genesis!
Such a good impression.
Drop all weapons over there. Oh, but Kirk. My favorite is when he just asks him to beam the Vulcan up to. No, but why? Because you wish it. Just be the contrarian. What the hell? Say
just the cadence of it too.
I love him.
It very
love
much
that guy.
suits Klingon. It's as though he is speaking in Klingon, but it's in English because you have that staccato. Do you know what I mean? Like just Christopher Lloyd, he just nailed it.
And he's also brilliant in Roger Rabbit. Remember me, Eddie? When I killed your brother, I talked just like. I can't do this. Oh, I can't do the. I can't go high with it. But you all get it. Judge Doom, he's great in that. Rod Thunder said I rate A? Question mark. Well, A, because I revisited it twice, and actually each time I like it better from when I first did the 80s. First did in the 80s. What really hits home is that dramatic scene they watch the Enterprise destroy. Yeah, it kills me, man. Also heavy into Badass Part 2. Heavy into In Search of at the time in my little mind put the narrator up In Search of as Mr. Spock was the same guy. Well, yes, he came back in time to do that. A lot of people don't know that. Well, I hear you, brother. Now, all right, we're going to get moving on to our next movie, folks.
Well, we can't because Phoenix Argus left a rating, and I would like to read it because Phoenix is such a Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Phoenix. Go ahead. You can if you'd like. Sure.
No, because what if there's some Christopher? What if there's some Christopher Lloyd in there? Please read Phoenix Argus.
Okay. Phoenix Argus, A+. I don't know why, Captain, but I like the loyalty that Kirk and crew show towards their friend Buck Hot Duck Buck, Charlie Duck Mouse. I'm sorry, I got a little carried away. I'm sorry. Towards their friends, pocket emotions shown after the loss of the Enterprise. With the loss, I'm sorry about that, Phoenix. With the loss of David, it lingers and makes a great point of contention in first half. Let's see if I can find his other one. And then we're gonna get to Mark D with a C there.
Yes.
Bop, 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 bop. Where are you? Where's that other one, bud?
I don't know. Some of the chats are missing on this side of StreamYard. I don't know why I always call it StreamYard.
Oh, there's Phoenix.
Oh, there we go.
In Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, the music is great, and love the two new Starfleet ships and Klingon Bird of Prey. Minus points for the Excelsior's lackluster bridge. Yes, but I was kind of like seeing Miguel Ferrer on the bridge. I like that guy.
Yeah.
I always liked Miguel Ferrer. He was a really good dude. He was great in RoboCop. All right, let's see. Bop, 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 bop. Mark D with a C.
Here we go.
A, 5 out of 5. Jolan, what the hell? Jalushis? What the hell do you say that?
Jolly.
Oh my! I thought it was Choey Chew. Choey Chew. Heartwarming to again see the crew reunited after the tragedy of Tiwak. Movie about loss and rebirth that gives you hope. In the end, gives you hope in the end. It was tough to watch the Enterprise die. Oh, was it ever? Like a phoenix over the planet. Trek 3 was overshadowed by all the great movies in 1984, but was a great middle segment in the trilogy. I totally agree with you, buddy. I'm with you there. Did we get everybody now?
We did. And we had a question in the chat that I want to address before we move on. Okay, so everyone in the chat is wondering what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the difference between nerds and geeks. Well, I'm a communications and technology scholar. And so I teach concepts around communications and technology. And that is a study at a doctoral level, which is called social science. And in social science, we look at the way people behave and communicate their digital tribes, their cultures, the things they love in communications. And one thing that has been happening with corporations is they've been sort of forcing this idea online that nerds are the same thing as geeks. And this sort of detracts from nerd and geek culture because nerd and geek culture are very different and at the same time very much the same. So if we look to the dictionary, we can see that nerd actually means someone who is slavish to academic pursuits. And there are actually charts that talk about the different things that nerds are interested in. And usually Star Trek is where we meet geeks. But yeah, slavish to academic pursuits. That's the accumulative connotation. Geeks are kind of more like how you would describe Clobby. This person's brain seems to go on forever. He's a giant computer of information about popular culture. He knows different things about film. He knows details. He knows how scripts works. He knows how comics work, whereas nerds know about books. He knows about comics. He knows about everything and anything you could think of that would happen in popular culture. So there is actually a dictionary difference, and you should definitely claim it for yourself so that we don't wind up with very homogenous IPs, and we're not all forced to go to the same type of movie. We should be able to choose movies from different genres, and we shouldn't be forced into one genre. So when I say that, it's not me sticking my nose up in the air as a snob. It's because it's very important for you to understand that it's okay for you to like different genres, and it's not okay for the corporations to turn all of our IPs into one genre that is fit for everyone from 5 years old to 105 years old. Does that make sense?
Indeedishness it does. Stephen Thompson, yes, Debt of Honor by Chris Claremont does do some nice follow-up from Trek for us. So it's one point, yes. And by the way, if you have an Ollie's near you, that thing's like $3 the graphic, and I got tons and tons of that. It was a Trek graphic novel, a real graphic novel, not a trade paperback. Yeah, from with Chris Claremont and Adam Hughes from the late 80s, early 90s, whatever. Great comic, late 80s. All right, let's see here. All right, let me just make sure, and then we can. Hey, that 70s rock fan brother. Always good to see you, buddy. Always good to see you, man. I think.
Shout out to Kamloops.
Are we ready? Yeah, absolutely. What do you think? Are we ready or what?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay, well, everyone, we're on to our next and final film of the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, make sure we got everybody. I think we got everybody.
I think we did. If we missed you, please let me know.
All righty. Well, everyone, the next film is, of course, we're back to the even number ones. People used to make jokes all the time about the even odd numbers. Once I don't agree with the joke, but it was funny. Bop, 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 bop. Let's see.
We're going to use Star Trek where no one has gone before. History and Pictures by J.M. Dillard, an introduction by William Shatner as our launch off point.
Yes, for Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, everyone.
And we're on page 82 if you have this book. This one is from 1994, so if the 1996 version is off by a page or two, please turn the page accordingly. But for those with the 1994 edition, let's begin. And so it was in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, to date the most popular and financially successful of all the films. The plot involved time travel and a certain pair of humpback whales named George and Gracie. But what filmgoers remember most about the movie was its sense of exuberance and fun, the very quality that William Shatner spoke of when he said, "There is a texture to the best Star Trek hours that verges on tongue-in-cheek, but isn't. It's as though the characters within the play have a great deal of joy about themselves, a joy of living. You play it with the reality you would in the kitchen sink drama written for today's life." Harv Bennett called the quality tap dancing, the ability to convey a sense of joie de vivre, even in the midst of serious dramatic moments. Originally, a story was planned using Eddie Murphy at the 20th century as a 20th century con man who manages to get involved with the Enterprise crew. But Paramount was reluctant to combine its two biggest moneymakers into one movie, fearing it might reduce profits. Says Leonard Nimoy, "The central aspect of what the movie was about, the plot, came out of a conversation that I was having with a scientist friend of mine. It was agreed very early on that we wanted to do a time travel story going backward, a trip back from the 23rd century close to contemporary times.
The reason for making this trip is out of a major concern about things that we are losing from this planet today, intentionally, consciously, or otherwise. Nimoy had a monumental task of both performing and directing, which he found a challenge. It would be much easier if I were only doing one or the other. It was tough. I wouldn't recommend it. The screenplay is credited to Steve Mearson and Peter Crykes, who wrote the original Eddie Murphy-centered script, and the team of Harve Bennett and Nicholas Mayer, which once again did a fast and furious rewrite. Bennett remembers, I did an incredible amount of work in Acts 1 and 3. Nicholas did passionate and funny things with the middle part, which sets the tone. And we were racing along new channels asking, do you think this is going to be funny? Do you think people are going to laugh? I was influenced more by the irreverence of Nick Mayer on Star Trek II, which has proved to me, against my kicking and screaming, that you could have fun with Star Trek without losing its sting. Harve is a very fine constructionist, says Leonard Nimoy, and Nick has the kind of humor and social comment, gadfly attitude that I very much wanted to see in this movie. I wanted it to be much lighter in tone. I wanted it to feel, in the writing of it and in the shooting of it and in the performances, much more lighthearted. He also saw to it that all the Star Trek characters, not just the big three, were involved. Walter Koenig, but some people in the United States pronounce it Koenig, I don't know why, whose character Chekhov stops passerby on San Francisco streets to inquire about what he might where he might find the nuclear vessels. He was pleased. Chekhov was a delight for me in Star Trek IV, he reports. He has been the most successful when he has been put in comedic situations, but I feel I'm up to handling anything that's written for the character. Unfortunately, the scene in Star Trek IV in which Sulu meets his great-great-grandfather was cut from the film. However, George Takei still has nothing but praise for Nimoy as a director. Both Mark Leonard, or Leonard, and Jane Wyatt returned to their roles as Sarek and Amanda, Spock's parents. Says Wyatt, normally, I don't like acting with somebody who is also directing because you're talking to them, and in your close-up, he's looking to make sure the lights are all right, and he's not concentrated. But I liked Leonard very much. He was an extremely good director, and I thought the picture was good. The film was a record-breaking box office smash. As producer Ralph Winters notes, it reached out to an audience beyond Star Trek fans. We deliberately wanted a movie that would be accessible to people who had never seen a Star Trek film, and I think we accomplished that. The critics agreed. USA Today said, the unequaled sequel will satisfy the most devout Trekkie and still delight those who don't know a Romulan from a Tribble. This script turns Kirk and company into the most uproarious out-of-towners to hit the Bay Area since the Democrats in 1984. Anyone who sees The Voyage Home will be marking the calendar for the series' next star date. And that's all it has to say. What did you think of the coverage? Oh, did I lose you, Clobby?
Sorry, I was having a little bit of a tech problem there. Hey,
that's okay. That's okay. What did you think of the coverage?
Oh, very good. Again, I remember those rumors. Or not, well, rumors. I mean, at the time, that's what they were, because there wasn't a lot. There was no internet or anything like that about, or scuttle about Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Very early on being talked about. I'm like, huh? Yeah. And you have to remember, at the time, this was 1986. A few years earlier, Richard Pryor had been put in a Superman film.
Yes, remember?
It did not go well.
It was not good.
I love Richard Pryor. Of course, I love Christopher Reeve. But Superman 3 has something. Well, anyway. So we're like, oh, Jesus Christ. A lot of them are going, this is Superman 3 again. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? But it didn't last long. But it was out there, though. I mean, again, obviously there's no internet or anything like that. But it was I don't know, Entertainment Tonight was kind of the place, and places like that, and other, trade magazines, things like that, or papers and stuff, is where those kind of things went around. All I know is we're hearing, and then Starlog and things like that we're talking. You hear little rumblings about Eddie Murphy, and you're like, oh boy. But this film, I think this is it should be pointed out to people who like to say, like to have a knee jerk reaction when you talk about being too preachy in Star Trek, that this is Trek messaging done right and done well.
Yeah.
Because this is it's blended with Trek comedy, but it's also blended with high concept. Again, there's a lot of Trek, all the Trek elements there. I mean, the idea of the probe coming through it, and unlike V'ger, it's not looking for humans, and it probably doesn't even know, as Spock, well, at least theorizes, that doesn't know it's hurting anything. Just it's going. I mean, it's so alien to us. Again, I love the science fiction and the concept of that is so alien to us, even in the 23rd century. We don't know what the hell this thing is, which I love the idea of that. That's a wonderful idea. And then the writing of this thing and the way this is directed, I think Nimoy really, really advanced as a director from one film to the next. And then I know later, I think it may have been later, or was it the same time he did a film called 3 Men and a Baby? In other words, he started directing some other stuff, but this was only his second film, or was it that one before this? I can't remember now.
I think this was his
maybe his second. I can't
I think
remember
this
exactly
is
when
his
that film
second.
came
This
out.
is his second.
Whatever, 3 Men and a Baby came, I'm not sure, but that is, of course, also a very well received film. But so he was just, people forget Star Trek 3 was his first, big major motion picture directing, and this is his second. And he's really advanced as a filmmaker in this, and I think he really learned a lot. Because he took a very interesting high concept science fiction type of idea, blended it with Trek messaging and Trek humor, and it somehow, some way, with that script, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And what you get is a fun, and not only that, that this was the film, much like Trek 3 in a sense. It was time to deal with the consequences. It was another example of a film that has to deal with consequences, and yet he didn't spend the whole film dealing with the consequences.
Yeah. Well, because
actions.
that's what it does, right? A good Star Trek presents ideas to you without partisanship, and then it takes you to task for what you believe about those things. It challenges your beliefs, it challenges your presuppositions, and then it's up to you to come out on the other side of it and decide what you think or what you feel, or to just privately work through it and come to no conclusion. And that's what good writing does. Good writing isn't hyper didactic, or what I would call the large Marge effect. And that's when you take out a sledgehammer because you have an idea and you go around just smashing people over the head and in the legs with this large Marge sledgehammer. So this was a huge deal when it came out, as you well know, in 1986. Full swing. I'm a teenager at this point. I am extremely upset about what's happening with the whales. I'm terrified about the whaling, and because of the way that it was handled, everyone decided, including Russia. There were even people involved in the Russian government who decided to be a part of the moratorium on whaling. So this brought the entire world over borders, over partisanship, over everything, brought everyone together as human beings, probably much to the delight of Gene Roddenberry, to celebrate these whales and to save them. And that's in essence what happened. We were terrified there were not going to be any whales left. It was in nearly every paper every single day, as you well know. You're a handful of years older than me, and I'm sure you were reading the same papers I was reading. And we were really scared. And it was so wonderful how this film brought everyone together to say, no, we're going to save the whales. We can do this. We can do this together. And we did.
You could have done this in a really ham-fisted, overwrought way, though. You could have done this in a bad way. It could have been so easy to be annoying, where people would go, "Ugh, well, what are you talking about?" But they really injected it. They put it in seamlessly.
Yeah,
I think it worked. They weren't beating you over the head with it, but they were saying, "Look," because by the way, they weren't telling you any lies. This is happening to whales. It's happening.
Yeah,
and they came up with a wonderful, again, give whatever you think of the message, give them so much credit for coming up with a very plausible Trek type of a story. An alien probe comes to the planet. It wants to keep, find out why it's lost contact with these beings that clearly it was in contact with at one point. And it's by doing so is actually causing, and it's just so weird, so advanced. They can't do anything to it. It's they have to actually go back in time to find these things. And yes, you have a plot device to where they can go back in time to after the two previous films. This was also a good decision to look. We've done two pretty, I don't want to say downbeat films. We love them, but they're pretty serious. We're going to lighten it up this time. Let's kind of lighten this thing up.
Yeah.
Because Trek can do that.
And bring everyone around a serious issue, but do it in a lighthearted way, and to a wonderful effect. And TMF was bringing up the Challenger disaster. Yes, this film was dedicated to the Challenger disaster,
yes.
And that was really the mood of the comments of Leonard Nimoy within the Dillard text. We see that this socio-historical context that we're always talking about on this show, and that is the fact that the Challenger disaster happened. We were now at a point where we were afraid that something horrible could happen in space, and what were we doing, firing ourselves into space, and we felt terrible because we loved these astronauts. We held them very close to our heart. They were very personalized on the news. They did interviews, and we had grown to love these people, and when we saw them die, the whole world just stopped breathing in that moment, and it was an entire loss for humanity, and we felt destroyed. And then, of course, we had this thing happening with the whales, and this gave us this touchstone, this place to go where we could all touch that stone and look one another in the eyes and say, we're in this together, and to wonderful effect. Leonard Nimoy talks extensively with William Shatner in the commentary on this film, and both of them were obsessed with the films. There was an IMAX film that Leonard Nimoy had seen about whales, and he was learning about them through these oceanographers and so on and so forth. And William Shatner, he actually had a traveling show where he had used the whales' speech, how whales communicate with one another, and had actually put together a show where it sounded as though the whales were communicating in English, and it was like a musical show, and he was very proud of this. So you had all this stuff happening behind the scenes, and just an issue that everyone could get around and be really super passionate about, a glimmer of hope in a time when a lot of things, really bad things, were happening, and people were afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing: this is still supposed to be entertainment. So if you have to. People always appreciate it more when there is a message in something. Sometimes even if they don't agree with the message, if first and foremost they know they're seeing a story. In other words, this is a fascinating concept, a fascinating idea that is about it. That just really, really speaks to you. And it's so Star Trek. Plus, there's just so many wonderful character moments, and they actually do mix the serious in with the frivolous pretty well.
Yeah. So this is a piece of the action.
Yeah, I always thought that James doesn't like it, I guess, but he mentions the music was stupid. I don't know. I don't know about that. I thought it was very. It's like Christmas music though. The opening theme. I saw that, Rod Thunderheart, but I appreciate you. I hear what you're saying, man, about the bird of prey stolen from Doc Brown and being used a time machine. But I saw that. I backtracked. Good one, man. I love that. But yeah, the music was always kind of. It wasn't Leonard Rosenman or whatever. It was not, didn't feel Trekish at first, but I got used to it, and it's fine. It almost feels like it's a Christmas Trek. Wasn't wasn't this film released closer to
It was,
Christmas?
yeah, it was released just
If I remember
before
right,
Christmas.
right
They
before
knew they were
Christmas.
going to be hitting the Christmas market because, once again, that's socio-historical context. It wasn't like it is today, where people would go to the theater for a month and then go and buy it on DVD because everyone was pirating it and it was going to be a nightmare. Nothing could be further from the truth. You could go and see movies for months. And then there were even cheap theaters that housed the same movies at a reduced rate thereafter. And then you would begin to see these VHS appear thereafter. So, yeah, November, and they knew what they were doing. They wanted to hit that Christmas market.
Yeah. So, again, you have a wonderful concept, at least in my opinion. You have, I think, a good intention of lightening things up a little bit, even though obviously this film continued. You do have to deal with you got to get to the nitty-gritty in terms of dealing with the consequences of their actions in rescuing our comrade Captain Spock. And you just in typical Trek fashion, something gets in the way, and we got to go back in time and save the whales. But then it wasn't all about that. It was about great characterization, yes, having a little fun. And it did, again, whether the intention was there or not, it was something that was brought to sort of appealing to broader audiences. That because the film just did, as you of course so correctly point out in what you were reading there, or from the book, I guess it was, did super well.
It did.
Oh boy, guess who was there?
Eric
K. Go ahead and tell him.
You are late. Where have you been?
Tell him the
The
news.
weirdest thing happened. So I only had 4 names on the initial draw list. So I was like, look, all 4 people have to be here for this draw. So I was like, where is Eric? For like the community draw, and you weren't here. So I put it to the chat. I'm like, where is Eric? Go get Eric. Because I didn't want to make a fool out of myself. I thought, imagine if I draw his name and he's not here. Like, talk about a horrible moment for everyone. But luckily, a whole bunch of people also went into the draw. But wouldn't you know? I still chose your name. So I chose your name. You are going to be receiving a present from me that will be TOS themed, and so will JT Kirk. And you are late. I love you, but you're late.
Yeah, Eric knows having computer problems, but he's on his phone. Good to see you, brother.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you.
It happens, bro. We're just glad to see you, man, and congrats on being a winner. This film, again, it just can't. It has some wonderful character moments, some wonderful light-hair moments. Again, that is part of Star Trek's MO, is to an episode can be fun. Like you said, you mentioned Piece of the Action, there's Trouble with Tribbles, there's Mud.
Yeah.
It can have the light, fun episodes, and yet, it has a nice message, but it also has a wonderful concept. I mean, even if you just forget about the message, that's a great idea. It really is.
Yeah.
It's the alien probe.
Well, that almost didn't happen because the studio was acting weird, but whatever. I'll talk about that when I get to my notes.
Well, there you go. We can do the notes now. Like I said, a lot of fun quotes that we can talk about in a little bit in this one.
So they're talking about the woman who's on dialysis in the hospital. I don't know if I put this in my notes or not, so you need to know. Leonard Nimoy has said 100% that was an improvised scene. That was not written in the script. They improvised that. So that cute little old lady that doesn't even have her teeth in, and she's yelling, that she doesn't have to go on dialysis anymore. That was, she improv'd that. She's
James, I don't think there was we never said there was a message or Piece of the Action other than just fun. So I'm not, but no.
Oh no, James Caserta. Basically, let me explain. So that you understand where I'm coming from. The Claudia and I talk a lot about how there are different authorial influences involved in Star Trek, especially in TOS. And so you had these people behind Star Trek who were very much, hard science fiction kind of people, astrophysicists, Stephen Hawking types, Isaac Asimov types, and they expected a very
a steely, shiny, hard science fiction that would make astrophysicists smile. And then, of course, there is this more action-packed type of Star Trek, where people are expecting a little bit of suspense and perhaps even brush up against a little bit of violence. They want some danger. And then there is the type of Star Trek that appeals to character. And these great character moments, especially when we're talking about the Trinity, which is ethos, pathos, logos. We're looking at Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And then we have this other mode of Star Trek that doesn't appeal to a lot of people, but Clobby and I find it very necessary, and we've spoken about it at length. And that is this idea that you can play and have a little bit of comedy. You can have a lightheartedness going on. And so I believe an exemplification of that, where I had a great time, was a piece of the action. And I think that a piece of the action signals to a regular Star Trek fan that we mean that there's going to be some not so serious stuff here that may make you guffaw in an ugly way, sort of. And so that's why I threw it out there like that. I apologize for not giving that context.
I will say there is something of a Trek message even in the piece of the action, in that if you don't know what you're doing, you can really contaminate a society. And if you don't watch it and you go down there and just, I don't want any more cracks about the book, by the way, Steve mentioned, but and you drop a book about anything from a different culture and an advanced culture or something like that, it's not necessarily a good idea. So there's that little Trek element too, but it is mostly about kind of just a goofy, fun episode, which is really very funny, I thought.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, Jill. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, prime directive message for sure. Absolutely smart, dude. So anyway, well, where were we? Do you have did you do note chat?
I did do notes, and my notes are off of the original motion picture collection. And you will be delighted to know that I listened to the commentary of William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy as they discussed this film. Oh boy, I got some notes here, but I thought I should brief you all on some of the things that I noticed while they were talking, as well as some of the things they said themselves. So this movie was dedicated to the Challenger, the folks behind the Challenger disaster, and it was horrible. William Shatner hated the idea of time travel. I would also like to say that William Shatner's Latin is worse than mine. You need to hear him say Deus ex machina, which is actually, you should just use the Greek. It's God in the machine. Anyways, I thought some of you would find that hysterical because my Latin is awful because of the Greek in me. And then Nimoy said that he never got to know Mark Leonard or Mark Leonard, depending upon who you are and how you pronounce it. Isn't that unusual? He said he never got to know him. You should know that all of the Wrath of Khan sets were destroyed, and that played a part in the way that this movie was filmed. Nimoy felt Vulcan should remain mysterious to viewers and fans. So I thought some of you who are, are repulsed by the filth would be tickled pink by that. Nimoy wanted Saavik out of the picture. So the reason why she doesn't go on the adventure with everyone is because Nimoy wanted to open up the story of her being pregnant with Spock's child, which is why we see that shot of her standing with Amanda. He really liked the idea of our beautiful Robin Curtis, our proper Saavik, being pregnant with Spock's child. D. Kelly never invited the cast of TOS to his home, ever. No one from the cast of TOS ever went to D. Kelly's house, D. Forrest Kelly's house. Never. He was, as William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy discuss in this film coverage, commentary, he was incredibly private and simply never invited them. Shatner said in the commentary that he wants to be cremated in a burning car when he dies.
And that's an offhanded comment. You must listen to it. It's hysterical. The punk in the film was actually from the lighting team, Industrial Light and Magic. So he wrote that song that's playing on the Ghetto Blaster, and he actually bought the costume at a local head shop and then approached Leonard. And Leonard thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, Kirk Thatcher.
Yeah. William Shatner goes on and on about this for several minutes, almost to the point where he begins to distract you from the movie. Apparently, William Shatner was a great fan of the Star Trek tradition, and this is unique to Star Trek, according to both Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, of table rehearsals. Evidently, most rehearsals in Hollywood happen on stage. Not so in the Star Trek universe. In the private underbelly of Star Trek, they would sit around a table and rehearse at a table until they could develop what they wanted to do, because a certain amount of improvisation needed to be accounted for, and they wanted to learn the pronunciations. As many of you know, they failed at the pronunciations, especially the Greek, and that lives on in infamy. Star Trek IV was the highest grossing at the time in the theater. The slap, you know, when Jillian slaps her boss in the aquarium, did you know that that was improvised? And do you know that the actor who she slapped was so mad that he complained to Leonard Nimoy, and Leonard Nimoy had to comfort him because he didn't know it was coming, and apparently she slapped him pretty hard. And that came out of Leonard Nimoy's mouth, and he sort of chuckled afterwards. So obviously the cast thought the slap was pretty funny. The film helped usher in a ban on whaling. And the guys were very much married to the idea of telling the story of Greenpeace without directly involving Greenpeace. The studio fought with Leonard Nimoy about subtitling the whales and the ship. And they were so opposed to this idea and hated Leonard Nimoy's idea so much that they did a test audience to prove that that Leonard Nimoy was wrong. But the test audience actually sided with Leonard Nimoy and said they did not need subtitles for the aliens. They did not need subtitles for the whales. So Leonard Nimoy has a good chuckle in the commentary, saying that the audience proved him right. The audience was smart, not stupid. Shatner did his own swimming stunt, and he was quite afraid. It was a very dangerous stunt. You should know he did his own stunt. Even though it was in a pool, it was under something, and that was dangerous. I did not previously know that William Shatner did his own swimming stunt, so I thought I should mention that. Both gentlemen did extensive research on whales. Leonard Nimoy saw a whale in posture inversion in an IMAX film, and that is how he decided to create the communication climax betwixt the whales and the aliens, the alien whales. Both Nimoy and Shatner felt cheated and by and from the new versions of Star Trek. They talk for, I don't know, guys, maybe 2 to 5 minutes about the fact that they felt shut out of Star Trek, and they felt that it was wrong that when TNG came along that that they did not integrate the older actors with the newer actors. You should also know that William Shatner is kind of a jerk. Bill, I love you, but you're kind of a jerk in this commentary. He really, really, really goes on about how much he hates the idea of time travel. And just when it starts to get awkward, and you know Leonard Nimoy is like, why can't this jerk just be nice? Bill finally relents and then says, but the way Leonard did it, it was okay in the end. So that's a little insight into the commentary and into some things that I wanted you to know, because, you know, we're plagued by user-generated lore that is not true on this thing we call the internet. And this was straight from the horse's mouth, the horse's mouths. So I thought you would all enjoy that. And that's all I have to say on the film.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's a wonderful concept, and it has a lot of great scenes, a lot of great humor in it. There's no question about it. I thought you just yeah, you can't ask for I think a better follow up to after those two. There's two films that were definitely but more serious, and yet they do have a nice conclusion. They end up saving. Yes, go save the planet, and you're going to get off light after you steal the Enterprise, which was kind of fun. And I'm not always that big on time travel in Trek either. We've talked about that here and there, but it doesn't mean you should never do it. There's just sometimes I'm like, but other times I'm fine. And this is an instance where I have no problem with it.
Yep.
Just it works for me this time.
Yep.
Sure. You're putting them back in time. You did something that would kind of appeal to some of the bigger audience and all that kind of stuff. But that's okay. It's still Trek. It has every Trek element, all the Trek elements you need. Wonderful character development. Some of the stuff, Spock is just now coming back, just getting his marbles back.
Yeah.
And
that came to you as well, that Peter Pan moment. Wasn't it wonderful?
Yeah, look, he's finally getting him. He's coming back, and in fact, look, it's been a few months since 3 and 4. There was about 3 months between in 3 and 4, so it's been a lot of him's coming back, but still, McCoy's concerned. Is he himself?
Yeah.
Well, right away, it's kind of funny. Again, it just shows why we love this trio so much. As soon as this crisis, arises, and as soon as Kirk sees, he's going back basically to get court-martialed, and then he sees the Earth's in trouble, and he becomes captain.
Yeah,
he's admiral, but you know what I mean. He becomes.
Yep.
He goes into Starfleet officer mode. I've got a job to do, even though no one assigned this one to me, but nobody else can do it. It's on us. And so, what does he do? Go right to Spock.
Yeah,
right there, and it's just that thing. It's just like old. It's just like old. Old school. Automatically, it's just comfort zone. Going right to Spock, and Spock still is definitely himself. He's not completely. It's kind of a point of humor in the film that he's
just outside of himself to the point where we can make him do things in this film that would be uncharacteristic in other circumstances.
But he still figures out what's going on right away, like Spock would.
Yeah.
He figures it out. He automatically. There's enough there that he can realize these are the songs sung by whales. And he goes, "That's my theory." He tests his theory. Spock does that.
Yes.
McCoy's like, you sure you trust him? McCoy doesn't want to go and time travel either. Are you sure he's not exactly working on all thrusters?
Yeah. That's great.
Hope the hell they tell this probe what to go do with themselves. I love all this. Got again a lot of funny lines in it.
Lots of great dialogue. I just Bobby, I got to point you to 2 comments in the chat that I think are just outstanding enough to almost warrant profanity. A wonderful Jill says, laughing out loud, "But we love him for it, despite it, ? Both ? And of course she's referring to Bill Shatner. And everyone has a love-hate with the ever controversial and cantankerous William Bill, as we call him, Shatner. So Jill, I love that comment. And then the beautiful Arwen Avalon says, "Only Nimoy can tame the yesteryear Shatner." And just great comments, ladies. Just love it, love it, love it. Keep those comments coming. We are talking about this film, but we are most certainly looking at your conversation, and your conversation is just outstanding and so much fun to read.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. And by the way, everybody, double dumbass on you.
Well, he did a little LDS back in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Right?
To me, the Kirk double dumbass on you is not as funny as when Spock asks him about it later. Double dumbass on you and so forth. I don't know what it is. Nimoy's delivery of that line when he's asking him about his change of language since their arrival was just, I love it. It was so much fun.
Did you know that the truck scene was completely improvised?
Which truck scene would that be?
When they're talking about where they're going to go for dinner. So it was written in the script that he was just supposed to ask for where do you like Italian? And they were both say in unison, yes. and
No,
they
yes,
went to the
no,
table,
yes,
as it
no.
were, the actual table, and they said, we're gonna play with something here, but let's not discuss what we're gonna do. So it was completely improvised. They knew that one another, they were cognizant of the fact that they were going to go off script, and they planned it so they didn't waste money and didn't screw up the take. But that whole thing is an organic exchange. No, yeah, no, yeah, no, yes, no, 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 okay, no.
No. Yes, I love Italian, and so do you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that whether or not he liked Italian, because he needed to establish whether or not he was going on that date with him.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not the hell you're, but they are not the hell you're whales.
Yes.
Spock, about those colorful metaphors, I don't think you should try using it anymore. Why not? For thing, I don't think you have the hang of it. It's not always necessary to. It's not always necessary to tell the truth. I cannot tell a lie. I don't mean lie. Just exaggerate. You've done it before. Can't you remember? The hell, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you can remember everything else. You can remember physics, and you can remember all your science, all that crap, but you can't remember exaggerating, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
How many times is Spock lying when he says, I'm not capable of that emotion? That's a lie, Spock. You are capable. But yeah, there's so many fun. Yeah, it was. Was that Katie saying again? The line setting up the standards for the futuristic Trek lingo and how profanity became something. Yeah, I mean they once on a disaster area. Good to see you there. They would cuss as the saying goes every now and then, and even other Treks, but it wasn't common language and stuff. And Kirk Kirk really read the collected works of Jacqueline Suzette and R. Harold Robbins. I don't think so. That was fun. Again, so many funny bits. I love the punk scene with Kirk Thatcher on the bus.
Yeah.
A lot of us played for laughs. Yes, it's fun.
But that was what it was like riding the bus at that time. And if anyone in the chat was alive at that time and was a teenager, that is exactly what it was like being on the bus at the time. And sometimes the bus driver would yell on the back of the ETS or like the city transit, turn that down or turn that off. And there were even people back there with Jiffy markers writing, Johnny loves Susie, and yeah, it was exactly like that. There were, it was really, really big at the time. This idea of putting safety pins in your face. So you get on the bus, and these people would get on the bus, and they had safety pins coming out of every orifice, and they're just their skin. They're just regular, their skin, like in their forearm. So I love that moment looking back on it, because you thought nothing of it. He sort of seemed like a very harmless type of punk at the time. But now looking back on it, you're like, yeah, that was totally what happened when you got on the bus. So I love that moment too, Clobby.
I can't do it here, but on BTR, I used to always play that whole song on my show. I had the whole thing.
Yeah. And say screw you,
and all hope you're blue too. We're all bloody worthless.
Yeah.
I love that stupid
song. Yeah. Very intimidating to walk to the back of the bus. If you had any sense, if you had any common sense at all, and you were riding public transit in the 80s, you sat at the front of the bus with the grannies. You did not walk to the back of the bus where there were the unsavories with the giant ghetto blasters that they would call them, or boom boxes, but we called them ghetto blasters back then, and just cranked music.
And of course, I guess everyone was like, hey, he must have killed that guy. They don't know what a Vulcan reference is, but what the hell, he's a punk. We don't care. And again, like Raquel had said, it's that's Kirk Thatcher, one of the guys who worked for the crew and everything. It was like a bit around the punk dude. But anyway,
Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Yeah.
So, we're not looking for ratings yet. I'm gonna have to slap my trap now because someone put a rating in already.
It's okay.
So I'm gonna be backed up on the chat now. Maybe it's because
we're talking about it too much.
Oh,
is that Phoenix, a signal?
No, Phoenix has to run. Okay, Phoenix.
Oh, you're leaving?
That's fine. No. I will read it when you get a chance. I appreciate that, Phoenix. Sorry you had to go there. No,
okay, so let's pin that.
Cool. Yeah. I
Phoenix
can't turn it.
Argus, thank you so much for supporting this channel and for supporting this
Appreciate
show.
you.
I
Thank you,
love your
Phoenix.
company. I love your comments. And it was good to see you and good to hear from you. And have a great rest of your weekend. I just said West. What am I? I'm turning into Chekhov.
We're all,
Have a great West of your weekend.
West of the weekend. We're getting the nuclear vessels.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting toward the end there because really we're pretty much I really love this film. I think actually, of course, my favorite thing about this film, other than we had a lot of fun with it, but when we finally get to dealing with toward the end there, the end bit when we're dealing with the consequences of the past two films and the mitigating circumstances of, hey, they've saved the planet again. The trial scene, Captain Spock, you do not stand accused, Mr. President. I stand with my shipmates. Love this scene in the courtroom. It's a beautiful scene where the president's, listing off the charges and all this stuff. And then he tells Kirk, you will be reduced in rank and given the position that you have repeatedly proven unswerving ability, command of a starship. That's just such a touching moment. And then again, you got another touching moment when Spock and Sarek have their little exchange. Someone was mentioning earlier Star Trek Debt of Honor. You wonder, because was there something going on between Kirk and Jillian or not? I mean, they don't really go all that into it.
And we don't even have a scene of him sitting up and just putting his boots on. There's an inside Star Trek joke for everyone in the chat.
There you go. But they kind of deal with it. Remember, she says, I'll find you. This is a really good comic right here if you want to read one of the best Trek comics ever made.
Yeah.
That and Jillian's dealt with. But anyway, what really gets me the most, gets to my heart, and just is where the bureaucratic mentality is the one constant in the universe. We'll get a freighter. All due respect, Doctor. I'm counting on Excelsior. Excelsior? Why in God's name would you want that bucket of bolts? A ship is a ship. I will be done. And then they fly over, and you're thinking, if you don't know, if you hadn't seen it, are they really going to get the Excelsior? Which they did in the DC comic, by the way.
Yeah.
For a while. Because, between films, between Trek 3 and 4, they didn't know they were going to, DC was not let in on there was going to be a new Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're flying over that, that beautiful music is going on and they're flying over that. It's really, this is the best part of the music of the film for me. Yeah. And they fly over the ship and then they see the Constitution class reefer Enterprise A, previously the Yorktown, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I think, my friends, we've come home. Oh God. I mean, I've already had a wonderful time with the film. A lot of fun. Everything that, everything turns out to be okay with the crew, after those tumultuous two films that tore them up and put them in a blender and, churn them up. And now we're okay. We have Spock back. We have them all together. The family's together. We've come home. Oh God, it's one of the most touching bits in Star Trek that really talked a lot about how Star Trek 3 really digs at your heart a lot. And for me anyway, this one does too, especially this scene right here. And, going aboard the
Captain, I beg your pardon. Please forgive me, Captain. Steve Mitchum has to go, sir.
You are dismissed. Steve.
Thank you so much for stopping in, Steve Mitchum. We love you very much. Please kiss Maddie for me. And I meant what I said about kicking you in the shin about TMP and Star Trek 3 as well. I will hide behind Clobby thereafter, but Clobby Khan, mano a mano, muscle man. I'm totally kidding. I love you. Hey, look who's here.
I can't see anything in the chat. I had to stop it because of the.
That's okay.
I love the scene when they're flying off. My friends, we've come home, and that beautiful music where they incorporate the Alexander Courage theme into it just a bit right there. My God, what a great, wonderful ending. An uplifting ending. You end Trek 2 on a touching ending that they try to give you a little bit of uplifting hope when you see the, you're melancholy, you're sad. In track 3, they do give you a nice kind of, you got Spock back, but you're still unsure about the future, but it's a much happier ending, but still you don't know what's going to happen next in this one, man. Well, just 3 beautiful endings, three similar yet different endings, and I just love it.
The
And
thing
this
for
film's
this
a lot of
one is
fun.
that hope that you're talking about, right? It's like
Right.
we have these insurmountable problems. We just had the Challenger disaster. We feel like we're going to lose these whales when we're just learning about the fact that they can communicate and they have the power of language and they have a society and we solved the problem. And that's very, very Gene Roddenberry. That beautiful glimmer of hope that we can come together, we can solve problems, we can, when the chips are down, when we're in imminent danger, when a catastrophe is upon us, humanity can come together and we can do great things, and we can recognize that good things are being done, and that is a message in this film. And Clobby, I feel it too.
Absolutely. So number 1, I will ask for your rating of Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. I'll give mine, then I'll ask our wonderful chat for theirs.
So, I mean, you heard me. I'll talk about how I feel about this film. I think this film is an A++.
As is mine. I'm an A+ for this film as well. Again, because it's just so much. Don't worry, folks. Next week you will be very surprised by things I say. I can tell you that. Very surprised. But right now, pretty predictable, I admit it. But now, my wonderful chat friends, please give us your ratings. We had one early, so I had to stop my chat. So here we go. Our buddy Phoenix Argus had the run, but we will read what Phoenix had to say.
Love you, Phoenix.
Hey, the movie was fun, and although the music wasn't Trek per se, it fit the tone. Yes, Christmas Trek music.
Mhm.
It touched on a topic important at the time, like in TOS, A Private Little War.
Yeah.
However, I feel this was done better. I concur with that. Absolutely.
Yep,
I agree
me
with you
too.
there. Let me find the part 2 there, my friend. I got it. Whoa, what did I do?
It's okay.
Whoa, where was it?
Chat's weird tonight.
Yep, that was way back. And now
The
I
chat
lost
is
it.
not weird tonight, you guys. What I meant to say is on our side, it's jumping a lot.
Yeah, oh man. It may have jumped and I may have lost 2. Let me see.
I'll go looking for him.
Oh,
And
there- there we go.
Chris and Eric are here, so
Chris had to run, but he said he'd be listening. So we appreciate you, Chris.
Eric's still here, right? Yeah. If we can't find it, I know.
Lord
Eric.
Thoth had to run. I don't know if he left. I don't know if he left the rating or not. LT, did you leave a rating, brother? Oh, he's gone now. So that was a dumb
Oh
question.
my goodness.
He said he was going to leave a rating. Well, I'll get it from him later. I want to know what he thought.
Phoenix.
Gotta run. Have a great night. Everyone be safe. Be well. Appreciate you, dude. Oh, here we go. Got it. I got it. We also learned that Kirk was born in a small town in Iowa, not in space.
Yep.
Exactly. Not in space, Jar Jar Abrams, you piece of filth. On the screen. Oh, there he is right there. That's Thoth's review. B-. I have a lot of issues with this. Not really Star Trek, in my opinion. Time travel is and silliness. Ugh. My wife is saying A for her over my shoulder. Double dumbass on her.
Okay, Mrs. LT. I love your rating. You are welcome here anytime. And Scrooge McDuck, who can turn coal into diamonds. I love that you have your own opinions. You should join the chat, Mrs. LT.
She's not hearing you now. He already left.
Well, I hope she hears this on the replay.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely make sure she gets that from telling her we really like her rating better than his.
Yeah, let her know we side with her, not Scrooge McThoth.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's see. I got to go start finding some more here, folks. Give me a second. It's going to take a while to get to them. I don't want to miss anyone because I know Steve said he was going to drop one as well. I'm so far behind. It's going to take a second here, everyone. Bop, bop, bop. Vamp, vamp. Oh, here we go. I think we have our first one. R1 Avalon, the wonderful R1 Avalon. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Beautiful lady.
It is, yes, indeed, lovely lady. I'm trying to get this thing. There we go.
Yay,
A
baby.
plus plus plus. It's charming. It's fun. It has whales and bones. Gives a sweet old lady a kid. Yeah, I love that scene.
Can we just say how much Arwen's
that scene.
comment reveals who she is as a person? Arwen, like, you are a good friend, and I could definitely connect with your philosophy. That is a very good philosophy. Charming, fun, has whales, and bones gives an old lady a kidney. This is a pretty good synopsis. Love you, Arwen. Thank you.
I love that scene. That's so McCoy.
Yeah.
That scene is so bones, you know what?
It is. Especially because it's just a pill.
It's just a pill, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still fun.
Yeah.
Katie Carasana rating, but says if this film has one word, it would be nostalgia. Well, there you go.
Good.
And Katie says A.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely. It's a feel-good Trek film indeed. Just disaster area. Let's see here. Good night. Find some more ratings here. Bop. I'm hope I'm not missing anyone. Okay, here we go. Pat S. All right, A plus. Clobby, I don't know if you remember WRNO dollar theaters. I do. In New Orleans, well, in surrounding areas. But at 11 years old, my mom dropped me and two buddies off at 11 a.m. with a $10 bill, and we watched this till 5:30 on Lundi Gras. Wow, 1987. My goodness, it was still playing because it did play a long time. Lundi Gras, for those who don't know, is the Monday before what they call Fat Tuesday, which is Mardi Gras Day.
Oh.
And the parades, man, dude, I guess, yeah.
Lundi is Monday in French, right?
I guess everything shuts down on Mardi Gras Day, but some stuff is still open on Lundi Gras. So nice.
Yeah, Pat's speaking about that socio-historical context again, that idea that things stayed in the theater for a really long time.
They did. It could have been. That was a repeat theater. They would bring stuff back to them in the theaters.
Yeah, and then it would go to the cheap theaters. And I remember when when the cheap theaters first came to Canada, we were all so excited because it was very expensive to see a movie. I think it might have been $8 back then, and that was quite a bit. And now I look at how much it costs to go to a movie, and it's so shocking. Do you know what I mean? But the cheap places, it only cost $2 or $3. It was great.
$1. Back then, if you didn't want to see something on an early release for the full $4, if you waited long enough, it would go to the dollar cinema.
Yeah,
that was how you got the bargain basement to see a film that way. Yeah, Pat S. I remember those. We had them here. Of course, in '87, I was actually living there. I first saw this film, the first showing in the morning at Lakeside. And I know you know what that theater is. With a buddy of mine. In fact, we played hooky from work. We both left work together. And I wasn't. And then that night, I went back to see it with my Baton Rouge buddies. I drove all the way to see it. So yeah, I think I saw it like I do always do, like at least a couple of times first day. A plus for Dark Shadow Logan. Humor, interesting premise, with extinct whale species causing destruction of the future when aliens return to communicate with them. Intelligent life is not always humans. 80s nostalgia. Like, well, Spock said, only human was arrogance to assume that the message must be meant for man.
Yeah, I like the Russian doll sort of idea that happens there, Dark Shadow Logan, because it's like we overlooked the importance of the whales, and then when the aliens, who are some type of sister species, arrive, they overlook us as though we're nothing. So I like that idea. We overlooked the whales, the aliens overlooked us, and it it makes you feel very small.
Absolutely. Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete.
Whale. I'm glad they got the animals to the future and brought about the cetacean of hostilities from that.
Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete's got it.
Listen, this is A-level puntastic, punnering, punny stuff. I love you, Scuba Pete. That was
well done,
chef's kiss. Mwah.
Well done, sir. Wolfie, 762, 1 of 3. Score 9.5. The characters, funny as hell, And the great story, the top of what? The top of what? No, my name. You played games with me, mister. You're through. I am? May I go now? This is the stupidest thing I've heard.
Yeah,
Him
that's a
from
great
Rusky,
moment.
but I can't say the word, but he's Rusky. He's got some kind of I can't say the word here on YouTube,
Yeah.
But that was funny.
Yes.
And yeah, the guy was a dope though. Like, yeah, he's a Rusky.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a dumb scene when he's asking the cop about the nuclear vessels, and the cop's just staring at him like, what? I mean, what?
That was a real cop. Do you know that Nimoy pulled him on? So basically, Nimoy asked the extras what they would say if Walter Koenig walked up to them. And one lady, she read her line. Oh, I think they're over the bay
in Alameda.
In Alameda, and it wasn't certain she was going to say that, but she was going to say that they were over the bay or something to that effect. And so they got her to sign a contract, and she got a speaking part. But when the cop was there to actually block the street so they could film it, so when they asked the cop to come into the shot, the cop just wasn't going to talk. So that whole thing happened like improv.
There you go. Oh my goodness. Let's see, top of what? This is a great bookend to the Genesis trilogy. We rediscover a new relationship with a character we know, Spock. Absolutely.
Wolfie, did you know that Nimoy himself often calls this a trilogy? So nice diction there, sir.
Nice. Absolutely a trilogy. Great commentary about the environment and how the arrogant nature of humans assume that they are the only species that matters on Earth. Yeah, we all know the dolphins are actually the second, according to Douglas Adams, Earth is only the third most intelligent on the planet. Dolphins are second, and of course, first are the rats, the mice. But Douglas Adams knows what he's talking about, folks, or did. Love that man. Species to man on Earth, we get our first female captain of color. That is true.
You betcha. Thank you for mentioning that, Wolfie. Ow!
I remember when I forget the lady's name. She has passed on since, but I remember she used to be on Trapper John MD. So yep. When I saw her on the film, I go, hey, that's the lady from Trapper. We get to see Starfleet operations and see the Federation President Council for the first time. The toys, two Enterprises. We'll get a freighter. Yeah, I love that. Where am I at? I'm missing. Okay, there we go. Snort. 1 of 6. It's Eshpik time. It was nice to see the real Amanda one more time. Yes, it was. It's too bad that she couldn't have had a scene together with Sarah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, but it was nice to see Jane Wyatt, right?
Yes.
That was nice. Wow, 6. I'll find you, man.
I know her name too, and I can't think of it, and I don't know why.
What, Jane Wyatt?
No, the first female.
Oh, the lady, the captain of the Saratoga.
Yeah, of the Saratoga. Just let me look it up.
Okie dokie. Snorlacupus. Let's see here. Spock will always have my gratitude for neck pinching that punker on the bus. The collective works of Jackson. So Jackson is at the novels of R. Harold Robbins. The Giants. Yeah, great. Oh, shite. Let's see here. That line is a classic, but a disturbing vision of how 20th century might be remembered. Hey, they went to a 20th century that no one knew about Star Trek. What can I tell you? It's a good thing that nobody randomly ran into the cloaked bird of prey in the park. Of course, they were watching for it. Well, actually, when they were all gone, that's a good point. Of course, it would have made for an interesting 911 call. I just ran into something that ain't there. A bop, 5 of 6. I'm sure the whaler crew had an interesting report to make, and I remember seeing a tanker visible in the distance during that scene. It would have been a ufologist's dream. Oh man, number 6. What do you think? What do you think what do you think ever happened with all that equipment Chekhov left behind? Well, I've always wondered about that in my bugs.
Yeah, me too.
He did leave a phaser and a communicator.
He did. Yep.
And I guess it's weird. It's weird that it must be the radiation affected it, but there you have it. Let's see here. I can't wait. Let's see here. Make sure it got the next one. James Caserta, there's 200 wrenches here. That's not true. And 6 other people. What's wrong with you?
What?
He said there's 200 wrenches here and 6 other people. Okay, whatever, dude. Michael Beachcomb. Hey. Good stuff. Much welcome, lighter touch. Good messages, cleverly delivered. Thank you. Eric K. Hey, such a great quotable movie. Who in the world hasn't used Double Dumbass on You?
Madge
Movie was good
Sinclair.
fun.
Madge Sinclair.
Madge Sinclair has, I believe, she passed. But yes, the lady from Trapper John MD for sure. I remember that. I don't know if you ever saw that show, but Crazy. Was it Crazy Pineapple? A-. Message and theme is basic, but a well-crafted adventure involving the crew with mass appeal and to non-trekkers and non-sci-fi fans alike. D. Bud Martin. What's up, buddy? A++. One of 2. This one is my favorite because I saw this with my staff at our San Francisco comic book store on opening night. Wow, cool.
Oh, nice.
With it taking place in the city, the whole theater was having a blast.
Yeah.
Eric K's going to get you for that, by the way.
Poor D. Bud Martin.
It was a great film, and it's one of the things I remember most about the guys that worked for me then. Okay, we talked about it for days afterwards. Our store was only 4 blocks from Golden Gate Park. Oh, cool.
Oh, very neat.
Yeah. Normies got to laugh at nerds. Yeah, they do. They do, James.
They do.
That's okay. We laugh at them too. It's only fair. Katie Carr says, the film came at the right time with the right writers, right director, and timeless nostalgia of the 1980s or the 80s. This film felt like a 2-hour time travel episode, which was great coming from ST3A from Katie. Thank you so much,
Well,
Katie.
thank you, beautiful lady.
Give Lady Thought the wrench and take us away. Snort.
Who said
we
that?
love the Snort said that. We
Oh,
love,
Snort, that is it. You are a good bear.
You're
Good
a
bear.
bad
I'm
bear.
sending you little chin scritches for that.
We
That's
love
a good comment.
we love Thought there. We love Lord Thought. Jesus is my king. 68. 7 out of 10 drowning whales. Whoa.
Whoa.
B+. They had a whale of a time. We don't want the whales to drown, though. They came close. Yeah. And she derivative Jill says, 1 A++++++. This is my favorite Star Trek movie, and easily the one I rewatched the most. I just love George and Gracie and how integral they are to the plot besides being magnificent. Well, yeah, absolutely.
I love you, Jill.
Love you. Kirk says LDS, saying LDS is something to behold, along with Double Dumbass on You. For some reason, I like the way Nimoy says it when he's asking about it, but I don't know something about that gets to me every time.
Yeah, it's the cadence. It's great.
Yes,
Love that
Double
comment,
Dumbass on
Jill.
You. Kal-El 48 says, "Hey, this movie had humor, a good story with morality, without being preachy, and a lot of memorable scenes with so many quotable lines." And oh, I forgot number 3 there. I'm sorry, Auntie Julie.
Oh, that's okay.
My favorite trivia from this movie is that the punk rock guy that Spock makes unconscious is named Kirk. That's true, and wrote the song playing the stereo. I hate you. I love that song. I'm very much into how methodically Spock decodes the sounds as belonging to whales. Witnessing the crew exploring and solving puzzles is my favorite part of Star Trek.
Oh,
yes.
Great.
I love that.
Yeah. Great comments.
Okay. Oh, 5. I missed one before. I missed 5. There we go. It will only be a shame if we don't take the time to listen to them while we still have them. I do know some scientists are working on it. Very glad to hear that it had a good effect on reality.
It sure did, Jill. It sure
did, Jill. Absolutely. Thank you so much, JJ Kirk. gives us 4 whales, 5 of 5.
JT Kirk, I love it.
Fun fact, humpbacks were used as animal rights groups feared sperm whales could contract herpes. And Captain Kirk, transparent aluminum was used to add extra protection.
Of course, he's being totally
Into a
facetious.
computer.
And great. I love it.
Disaster area A-.
Yeah.
Oh, another one from. We got a bunch of from. Okay. Oh wow, she's Ash tonight. There we go.
Yeah.
We miss Ash. Ash is
Release the Jill cut.
It says. See, it never says how many there are. Let's see.
That's
Here we go.
okay.
As Jillian and Spock bantered Spock, to hunt a species to extinction is not logical. Jillian, whoever said the human race was logical,
Right?
Absolutely, nice. Yeah, of course. As an addendum to that, I guess, I appreciate how the movie ends on the theme of communication.
Yep.
I even like Kirk's relationship with Jillian because it is even-paced and charming. Yes.
It's so funny because William Shatner said that she could flirt with her eyes, and in the film he gets shut down hardcore. So I love Jill's comment, knowing what's going on in the background. It's quite funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This thing jumps on me. Sorry. Uhura Chekhov's ad-libbing for nuclear vessels was inspired and timeless. It is a side character event, but one that is vital to getting home as to getting help from the whales. And yes, I love with that little bit. And Admiral, it is the Enterprise. Yeah. Love that. Seeing Scotty give away the technology for transparent aluminum is a bit prophetic. Why? How do we know he didn't invent the thing? And everyone does say, "Hello, computer."
Yeah,
Wizardry,
great.
because that material now exists today. Thanks a bunch, Scotty. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so before this jumps up too much here, Wolfie, ow, says, Raquel, I forgot about Spock's kid. Robin Curtis said she was supposed to be pregnant in the beginning of this film, and they decided not to pursue the storyline. Is that true? Yes. As I said earlier in the broadcast, from my notes of listening to the actual commentary by Leonard Nimoy, yes, he is considered behind the scenes, so behind the camera and in front of camera, as basically the godfather or the writer of the Vulcan idea, the Vulcan character, the Vulcan species. And it was absolutely his intention for Robin Curtis to be pregnant with not Robin Curtis, Savick, to be pregnant with Spock's child. And the studio didn't go for it. And you have to listen to the commentary on it. I think you'll find it very interesting.
There you go. 7 out of 10 almost drowning whales. Okay, almost drowning. B+, sad Chekhov's loss of admiral rank. Oh, your character there. Jesus is my king. Mark D with a C. Film, A+, film that transcended the genre.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming popular, but it was still Trek to the core. It really was. Great adventure, quotable lines, good environmental message that was not condescending. That is so true. It's
no
really
large
good.
Marge.
No large Marge. There you go. Best line was the humanity in Spock when he says, "Tell my mother I feel fine."
Yep. Because everybody cares about their mom.
There you go. Let's see if we got any more.
Oh, that's okay, Wolfie. Don't worry about that, my friend. Sometimes I rattle that stuff off really fast because I don't want to bore you. So maybe it was my fault. Maybe the error was mine because I just skipped over it or rattled it off like an auctioneer. Sometimes I'm like that. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy to take all of your questions, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you, sir.
Stephen Thompson's lots of fun with our good friends. A bit of prime directive monkeying. I don't think the prime directive applies in this case. I mean, it's Earth.
No. Yeah.
So, and it's, I mean, they did it to save everything. So, I don't know, but let's see here. Well, I think we may have gotten all of our ratings. Let's make sure. Oh, there we go. We have a toxic man flu, of course.
Oh, TMF!
The time travel with no Lazarus. Sacrilege. Lazarus falling off the whales. Lazarus swimming into the invisible Klingon ship. Come on. Besides that, A+.
Okay, so this is an inside joke for everyone in the chat. TMF is like a close part of our streaming community and a part of this channel. He's been our friend for a long time, and TMF knows that I absolutely hate the alternative factor. I hate it so much. I hate it, hate it, hate it. And depending upon how old I am, because I've been a Trekkie for 45 years, about 45 years, depending upon where I am in life, it is either my most hated of all the TOS, or it's like my second most hated of all this TOS. So yeah, alternative factor.
Katie Carr had to run, I think. Love you,
Oh,
Katie. But I think she
night,
said she wrote
Katie.
one. That's how far back I am. That's 30 minutes ago. I'm so back in the chat. I was making sure I've got all the reviews. So I'm so far behind in the chat, folks. Just sorry about that. So I don't see everything. I think I got everybody. I hope I did. Bop. Just making sure. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and say I got everyone. So if I missed anyone, sorry, we did what we could. But, well, hey, here we go. I think we've gotten, what's that?
Boop is just laughing at my raspberry. Sorry, Bobby. I
Well,
apologize.
no, that's good. Well, Matt, tell you what, everyone, I can't tell you how much fun we've had hanging with you tonight. It's been great. We've got 2 more films done now, and just so much fun talking about it with you and my wonderful first officer. Next week, of course, 2 more, the last 2. And after that, folks, let's see. Wolfie said something here. It's probably worth pointing out that this is the last Trek film before TNG starts. Good, that's a good point. It's neat to see what the intentions were with TNG during this time of TOS storytelling, and to speak to that, next week, of course, Star Trek 5 and 6, and then after that, number one.
Yep.
You gonna be able to handle it?
Yep.
You could do it. You good?
Yep.
With an objective eye.
We're gonna dig right into TNG, and it's gonna be hard. I have some fifis. I'm a little upset. I'm a little annoyed, but the thing is I've been watching this thing since it came out in, I don't know what it was, 1987. And I mean, I love it. I'm a little upset at some of the comments that were made, but I mean, I'm going to push through it. I did take a break. Everyone knows I normally watch over 657 hours of Star Trek every year. But last year I didn't watch because I was that peeved off by the comments, by the cast and their behavior on social media. But I will push through it. And I will just only look at the shows and try and focus on what I loved about them. But I have fifis.
Yeah, and what she's talking about, everyone, is some of the way that the cast has said some horrible things. And for a lot of people, look, we only love real Trek here, 66 through 05, 735, as Raquel likes to say. So, again, but it's not a judgment. If you like anything else, fine. The only thing we care about here is what's real Trek. And that means it stops with Enterprise. There's nothing with you, and not everyone likes every one of the real Treks. Some people don't like some of the series or whatever, which is all fine and good. But I don't consider anything from the bad reboot filth, Jar Jar Abrams, his movies and his TV shows to be real Trek. So we don't speak of them, or we don't really give that much, unless we have to mention them like this. But because of what happened on a show called Star Trek P-Hard, it has sullied the original. Not me so much. I can still watch them and compartmentalize and just not care. But I do understand that it makes people angry what was done to the character Picard by that horrible show. And
my adult daughter is still trying to cope with this. I don't normally talk about her on air, but she's still trying to cope. So now, like, whenever Picard is brought up, she now says the name that is now unmentionable. He's in the bad books now, and of course she grew up believing he was like a hero. The
the beautiful song by Weird Al Yankovic, White and Nerdy. That was like my
Yeah.
theme song. And, it's like the only question I ever thought was hard was, do I like Kirk or do I like Picard? And what he's saying is, which one would you choose, right? But yeah, now it's just, oh, Clobby, I have fifis about the way that the things he said when he was involved with P. Hard.
Yeah, and not just him. Most of the cast has acted like jackasses in the opinion of many.
They have.
Captain Hipster Spock, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you popping in,
Janet's
man.
leaving. Good night, sweetheart.
Janet.
It was so nice to see you. Thank you so much for your company. I enjoyed your company so much, and we'll see you next
Have
week.
a wonderful night, Janet. We're closing things up here anyway. We appreciate you. But so my point was, it's tough for Raquel and others to watch TNG now because of the horrific way that many of the cast has acted out in public, and of course the show P Hard, which is filth in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have that problem. I can watch it, but I mean it might creep into the back of my mind if I'm watching an episode here and there. But here, my origin with that, when we get to it, we'll talk about it more.
We will.
But I'm the original series is my favorite. But it's only been recently, over the past decade or so, where I've warmed up to the other iterations as much, and now I really love them, and they're all to varying degrees, but nothing will ever top the original crew for me personally. But I still do love the other ones for the most part, and they're like anything else. They have their flaws and their problems and their episodes that aren't so good or whatever.
Well, Gene was writing all the way up to Datalore, right? So he was writing all the way up to Datalore, so that's where some of that passion comes from, right?
Well, yeah. But I mean, there are a lot of great. There's still. The character of Picard, I mean, say what you want, I still think he was really a wonderful character a lot of times. I'm a Kirk guy, but he was, he was well written a lot of times, and sometimes poorly written in my opinion. But I thought the performance was great. I'm fine with the character and the performance most of the time. So anyway, when we get to that, but next week, of course, it'll be Star Trek 5 and Star Trek 6, and then we will get to TNG. So that's in 2 weeks.
Woohoo!
Quick show notes, and we'll get out of here. Of course, that's what I always say. Monday night is going to be something to do with comics, because it always is. Monday night March Comics talk. Not sure what yet, because I'm lazy. But
it's always fun, folks. He is the ultra geek. He is the grand poobah of curation of all of geekdom. It will be fun.
Well, it'll be fun for me at least, because I like doing this. Tuesday night, I'll be on Loki's Comic Roundtable. It'll be on Fat Steven Seagal's channel, and we're going to have our guest will be the great comic writer Chuck Dixon. And so, looking forward to that. Wednesday night, Open Geek Foolishness, and of course, Global Geek Gang will gather again Thursday. I trust. So, July 12th, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, Iconicon, put on by Retro Blasting.
Woohoo!
My wonderful friends at Retro Blasting. I will be running one of their panels, sitting on a few others, but running the panel that I will be handling will be, of course, about, since they are all about the 80s over there, I'll be running a panel called Comic Shops of the 80s, talking about my comic shop and others. Go ahead, Eric K., have it at me. And that will be fun. And then, since Marvel Comics is filth, and they do not know how to celebrate their wonderful Fantastic Four that they don't deserve, that should belong to me. That does belong to me. I own it. In the name of Jack Kirby, I claim it. They will not. Oh, Michael Beacom, thank you for being here. We appreciate you, sir.
Good night, Michael.
They will not do it right. So on August 8th, which will be 60 years to the day of the first issue release of Fantastic Four #1, the first release of the first issue, we will celebrate it properly with the Global Geek Gang, 4 p.m. Central Time. So that's what's going on in the future, everyone. And we thank you so much for being here. Now we're gonna start saying some goodbyes and get out of here. We like to name everyone. We thank you so much.
Oh, and before we go, just one more bit of house cleaning, please, boss. I beg your pardon, Captain. J.T. Kirk, Eric K., please approach my captain after this show and make arrangements with him to have the package that I'm going to send to you delivered to via a safe means. So you don't have to give me your home address. You can always just give me your post office or whatever. But please,
the community gift for the TOS iteration. The two winners are JT Kirk and Eric K. Please get a hold of my wonderful, amazing captain so that we can make arrangements to get that TOS gift to you.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And thank you all so much for being here tonight. Arwen Avalon, you are lovely and you are wonderful.
Beautiful.
And we appreciate you, beautiful lady. Thank you for being here with us. Of course, even if you're not here still, we give you the shout out because we love
That's
you.
right.
The great Lord Thoth, brother.
LT and Mrs. LT. I love you,
love
Mrs.
LT now.
You need
Steve
to be around more.
Steve Ernest popped in there. Hey, Steve Ernest. Good to
Hey,
see
he's
you.
been lurking all night. Stephen Ernest, thank you
we
so
have
much.
a lot of Steves here tonight. There you go. Well, it's good to see you, Steve. We appreciate you, sir. The Felicianos who had to run, I don't know if they're still listening. They said they might, but thank you, my wonderful friends, Felicianos.
Yep.
Always great to see you. Snortapoopus, Cuber.
Snortapoopus! Cuber.
Oh, before we continue, there's the link, of course, in the chat.
Oh, that's
For
not necessary.
the works of my wonderful first officer. You know, I forget stuff sometimes. Please tell us a little bit about that, and we'll continue our goodbyes after you do.
So, yeah, I'm a college instructor and I teach communications and technology, basically social science. But guess what? I do more than just nonfiction. I also write science fiction. And one thing that I have been in love with my entire life is the idea of short story. I think that the discipline of short story, keeping a very tight, very engrossing story together, is very challenging and very enjoyable. So in the likes of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Edgar Allan Poe, with a flavor that's sort of like old Twilight Zone or old Outer Limits, I write short story science fiction, and I hope you will love it. I have literally put it so low on Amazon that you actually, I don't think I'm allowed to make it go any lower. I think it's 74 cents per story. And if you would please support my work, I would appreciate it so much. And while you're doing that, would you please go ahead and leave feedback if you enjoy those stories? It means a lot to me because I would like to put these stories together as a collection and publish them with a publishing house. So just an indie writer looking for your support, and I appreciate it very much. You can find them on Amazon and you can download them to any device. You can also find them on your Kindle under RM Briggs. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. Janet, we said, I think we mentioned Janet. Janet had to run, but love you, Janet. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think Janet may still be here. I can't remember. Janet from another planet, we love you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Stephen Thompson was here.
Yay.
I don't know if you still Stephen Thompson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Phantom Outsider was here earlier, buddy.
Such a great name. Thank you so much for supporting this show. Thank you for your company.
Wolfie 762. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wolfie. You were great tonight. Loved all your comments.
D-Bud
Martin.
All right, buddy. Thank you, bro. We appreciate you, man. We really do. The part of the cabal. We got to stick together. That we love Eric K's conspiracy theory of us. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. There we go. Put it there again. J-Man. I don't know if he had to run, but J-Man. Yeah. Shout out.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Us. Appreciate you. Darth Haster popped in earlier, buddy. Good to see you.
All right.
Fellow wrench over there, the great Latino slant, my buddy's Polly's channel. Kal-El, Kal-El, I forgot to write the numbers.
48.
It's 48?
It's 48, Captain.
Kal-El 40. Yeah, when I wrote it down, I was going fast. Sorry. Kal-El, appreciate you, sir. And well, I love Supermans, and I know you must too with that name. Scuba Pete.
I love you.
And they call him Scuba Pete. Liger fan was here earlier. Liger fan, thank you.
I want your tots.
I don't know if he's still listening because he had to go to bed, but he said he might listen. But either way, the great Chris Persia. Chris,
yes,
we appreciate you, brother. You're the man.
Kalanikta Efaristo Poli. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. Good night.
the great Mark D with a C, fantastic friend of the show. Yeah, by the way, a link to his and many other wonderful channels that are on YouTube that you should all support if you haven't is in my description below, because he has a great channel there and he's a good buddy. We love Mark D with a C.
Yeah,
JT Kirk, we appreciate you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, 5 and 6 next week, buddy. No, 7 will wait until after the Next Generation's done, the series.
Yeah.
But it'll be 5 and 6, and then that's right, isn't it? That's the best way to do it, isn't it?
I think so.
7 takes place after that. Yeah. So, JT Kirk, appreciate you, man. Your Muslim uncle was here earlier. A good buddy. It's great to see you. Stephen Ernest, I'm up to speed on Superman and Lois, and I've been liking it lately. I have some criticisms, and I'll be talking about it soon. But I actually, believe it or not, as a Superman complete purist, complete hardliner on it, I do like it. I know it's shocking to some people. The great Rod Thunderheart.
Rod Thunderheart.
Here, buddy.
Yep. Such a cool name. He sounds like such a superhero.
He is indeed. We love old Rod.
Yep.
And Steve Mitchum, great friend, great buddy.
Maddie's daddy. Although I am going to kick you at CLOBBERIN. You deserve a kick to the shin, mister.
I do not endorse violence here. That is but my first officer is on her own. Ironcaster popped in earlier. Good fellow, buddy of the Global Geek Gang. We love you, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Crazy Pineapple. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Apollome's Minion and
Pupper
was here earlier. We love you, dear. Thank you for being here. Bruce Lombardo was here. Bruce, buddy, appreciate you. Fantastic pal and local and a good, all around good bloke. Pat S.
Pat S. Who's a youngin'? I learned tonight. You're just a little
youngster.
Well, you're just a youngster, Pat S. I love you.
Only compared to me, though. Jesus is my king, buddy. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
As always, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
James,
for your comments.
Absolutely. James Caserta, thank you for being here tonight, James. Appreciate you. The wonderful anti-derivative Jill. We love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Excellent participation. Wonderful comments. I just love your whole attitude, Jill. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Jill. We appreciate you so much there. Just another red shirt buddy was here. He's a good buddy. All right. The beautiful, magnificent Renier stopped by to say hi.
Thanks, gorgeous. We appreciate it.
Love you, love you. Just Joe, 47, Jobber from the old days, my old BTR days, an old buddy. Jobber, brother, always appreciate you, bud. Dark Shadow Logan, my friend. I hope you are doing well, and it is always a pleasure. We thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Michael Beacom had to run, but Michael Beacom, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate you and your input.
Yep. And your number 6 avatar.
And your number 6. We love it. The beautiful, lovely Katie Carr, wonderful friend. We love you, Katie. Thank you so much. Parrot Head, if you're still there, man, I hope you're not wasted away in Margaritaville.
I want a margarita. Love you, Parrot Head.
I'll get you one. And I'll get you one at Margaritaville when you come here, because that's where it is in New Orleans.
All right.
Well, among other places, but the real one is on Bourbon Street.
Is it really? I went to the one in Jamaica.
Oh, cool. But well, I'm saying it's the real. I think it's the original. Well, anyway, that's the one I always think about. But and I've been there. Let's see here. Basgood 14. I hope I'm saying that right, Basgood. If you're still here. I didn't mean no disrespect if I'm mangling it. Phoenix Argus had to run, I believe, but we appreciate Phoenix Argus. Thank you so much.
We sure do.
We always appreciate the great Toxic Man Flu.
DMF!
Indeed. I always appreciate our old buds, that 70s rock fan. Brother, we thank you for popping in, bro.
Shout out to Kamloops.
He is, of course, one of the greatest of all time. He is Mr. Eric K. The winner tonight, too.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you.
Congrats to Eric K. and JT Kirk for winner.
Yeah.
My bud, Disaster Area. It was great to see you, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you for stopping in.
Stopped in. Good to see you. Good to see you. Captain Hipster Spock dropped by, and appreciate you, sir. Thanks for being here.
What a hipster.
Yep.
I'm totally kidding, Captain Hipster.
No, kidding, yeah. You're not. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's the Nerdporial. I don't know if he is or not. I'd have to ask him. The Nerdporial Lifeform just popped in. Hey there, Nerdporial.
Yeah, good
All
to
right.
see you.
Always a pleasure. And there's, also has a channel that you can all go seek out. And I think there's a link below.
Yeah.
Good to see you there. And I think we've gotten everybody. I think we covered them all. It's good to see you there, Nerdporial. Thank you.
I love you, Eric K. Just a sweetheart of a human. He's just always charming and is such a sweetheart of a human. Love you, Eric.
The Bronze Surfer. Well, thank you so much again, everyone. I'm going to play us out here with our wonderful intro made by my fantastic first officer, the amazing RM Commander Raquel Briggs. And with a little, we got a little assist to get it here for the great Mark D with the CISO, and we appreciate him. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of the night and tomorrow, Sunday tomorrow. And yeah, hey, can't wait to see you all again. See you, and I'll be back Monday. And of course, there's plenty of, I know Mark D with a C and my buddies over there with the Pop Culture Archivist, Jed and Ash. I think Ash will be there in Retro, are doing a stream tomorrow. Please go find out about that. I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, he's got a mystery stream planned, so go see them. They're Mark D is part of that one there. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night.